welcome back to the Team Fight Tactics Galaxies Championship. Lobby 1 is now complete, so that means that we are moving straight on to Lobby 2. But first, allow me to reintroduce to you your casters for today. I'm your host, Obly and of course I am joined by Doa, Latigris, and That's Primal. That's Primal, so good to have you back on the cast. Wasn't sure if we were losing you or not in the first half.
That makes two of us. I'm glad to be back.
Oh no, I love the fact. Can't let anything stop you. But we have had a crazy first lobby so far. We started with 8 players in that lobby, and now we're just down to the top 4. The 4 remaining from there. Doa, who was your favorite player to come out of that first lobby?
I talked about it going into it that I thought the European delegation looked extremely strong. Both of them made it through. Voltairix basically wrecked everybody in almost every games. But I was really happy to see Bobe, carrying the torch for the Korean esports history, as it were. A very strong region, obviously, traditionally, in other games like League of Legends. And so cool to see him make it through. And then a Shoemaker from Japan, which was awesome. A lot of questions about him coming into him. That region is not one we know a lot about in TFT, but he played really well, and I'm excited to see him in the finals tomorrow.
Yeah, no, we do not. We do not get a lot of Japan representation coming through for a lot of esports besides maybe card games and fighting games. But let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule and format for what we have today. Day 1 and Day 2, this is the breakdown for the TFT Galaxies Championship. Of course, today we had our qualifiers where our 16 players were split into lobbies of 2. Lobby 1 is all complete, so now we are on to that second lobby. Here are the 16 players who we saw compete, and unfortunately, 4 of them just got knocked with the completion of that first lobby. So now we're on to the second lobby of 8 players to find out which 4 will be moving on to the next day. Here are the players yet again. We have faces for some, we have avatars for others. Either way, they're all adorable and we love them dearly. But yes, taking a look at the rest of the format, we have a galactic screen.
Hey. How's it going?
Hello? So now we're back to...
Hey.
Listen, everyone. We're doing this whole dang production from home. Of course we're going to have... Maybe I'm messing up with all of the secret graphics and stuff. But that is A-okay because we're doing it live. But yes, an exciting second lobby ahead of us. I'm really excited to start getting into the games. But first, we have a fun little package of some of the players who are participating in Lobby 2. So let's go ahead and take a look. Hey guys, Ovly here with some of the TFT Galaxies Championship pros in person on a laptop. We've got some of the players with us here today, and we're gonna find out what makes them tick. So tell me, who are you? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm MISMATCHEDSOCKS, and I'll be representing NA for the Global Championships.
Hola, mi nombre es CUPIDITAS, soy de Argentina.
我游戏的 ID 叫卷子，然后我是陕西西安的人。
닉네임은 팬더랑 놀자입니다. 과학의 도시라 알려진 대전이 고향이며 아직도 거주 중입니다.
Meu nick é SLOOPER e eu sou de Teresina, Piauí, no Brasil.
游戏名称是云顶最强ALPHAGO，我是江西人。
Congratulations on qualifying for the first ever TFT Global Finals. How does it feel to have made it?
Estoy bastante emocionado por jugar y un poco ansioso, la verdad, porque los nervios me están matando un poco, pero nada, es como que quiero jugarlo ahora, ya está, tipo, saber mi resultado y listo.
心情是非常愉悦的，对，就是非常愉悦的。
어떤 분야에서 이제 대표로 나왔다는 것 자체 처음 느껴봐서 그 감정을 어떻게 말해야 될지 모르겠습니다.
非常激动，非常开心，真的就是经过了这么多的鏖战，包括这么多的一层层选拔，从平台赛，包括到后来的一个全国赛，到现在全球赛，能终于夺冠，真的心情非常非常激动，已经不知道该说什么了。现在。
Eu tô muito animado de ter conseguido chegar na final e a expectativa agora é jogar para ser campeão mundial de TFT. Eu acho que
I'm hoping to make NA proud right now. I think a lot of people have very high hopes for me, so we'll see. We'll see if I live up to those aspirations. I respect all the players, but I'm not scared of them.
And what would becoming the first ever TFT Global Champion really mean for you?
한국 대표로 나간 만큼 열심히 해서 그 결과가 좋게 나온다면 너무 기쁠 것 같습니다. 그리고 이제 인생을 살아가면서 무슨 일을 하더라도 열심히 지금 이 TFT 대회를 준비한 만큼 다른 일을 했을 때도 큰 동기부여를 받을 것 같습니다.
Yeah, so at the very beginning of TFT, I think I said my goal is to be the faker of TFT. And for me to win this tournament would essentially be me living up to that dream. I want to be the faker of TFT. Be able to hold rank 1 and rank 2 consistently, and also be able to win the world championship. So that's my goal.
证明自己吧，证明自己作为一个大龄人也能很好的把电竞玩透玩熟。
Ganhar o primeiro Mundial de TFT seria a realização de um sonho, seria poder coroar tudo que a gente fez durante esse primeiro ano de jogo e eu sinto que a gente tá bem preparado, eu tô muito confiante para poder jogar esse primeiro Mundial e quero poder trazer essa alegria para os meus amigos, para os meus fãs e poder ser o primeiro campeão mundial de TFT.
还是很开心、很激动吧，而且就是觉得不光是撸啊撸，包括云顶之弈、下棋，我们中国赛区都可以证明是非常强的一个选手，非常强力的。
La verdad, ganar este campeonato significaría mucho para mí y creo que es un sueño para mí y para todos los que están compitiendo. Pero bueno, hay que dar lo mejor de uno y veremos.
Thank you so much for joining us, and back to you. We just hear MISMATCHEDSOCKS say that he wants to be the next faker or the faker of TFT. Latigris, how freaking hype would that be if we get a faker from NA?
Yeah, and he made sure to say it multiple times so that none of us would miss it either. Got to keep our eyes out for him. And he's definitely one of the favored ones in this lobby, I would say. Obviously, a lot of fans behind him hoping for an NA performance. Ovly, I know you're hoping this region does strong. And got to say, we've got a strong runner to be putting in that work.
Listen, I'm praying because NA needs to be decent at one esport. But Doa, going to you, who's really standing out? I know that you're a fan of the Korean audience.
Hey, first of all, I think NA is the best region for Valorant, so we've got that at least. But I don't know about TFT yet. Hey, it's a Riot game, it's okay. I don't know about TFT yet, though. I mean, MISMATCHEDSOCKS, easily one of the best players in the world. Nobody with, half a brain is going to contest that fact. But, his tournament results have been a little bit up and down. So, can he get it done in this environment? We'll see. I think he's got the talent, but it's been a struggle for him here and there. But I'm excited again, of course, to see PANDA play, our other Korean representative in this group, and it's just a lot of players from a lot of regions that we're just kind of getting to know. So it's going to be neat.
And Primal, for you, if you were a competitor, made it all the way to the TFT Galaxies Championship, which one of these players would just absolutely strike fear into your heart?
I mean, Socks with the confidence, man. When a guy comes in and says, I want to be the faker of TFT, you know he's got some sauce. So definitely I'd be intimidated by that statement. Also, a more interesting storyline coming out of Europe, KC61, whose face is shrouded in mystery, is only 16 years old. So if we're talking about Faker's a prodigy. He was killing it the moment he could play League of Legends. This kid is apparently killing it too, so he might be someone to watch out for as well.
I think he was 15 when he won his first championship. Faker, that is. So, yeah, about the same age.
So what you're saying is KC Double is falling behind if he wants to follow in Faker's footsteps. No, I'm just kidding. Still 16.
All I'm saying is that whenever I see KC Double 61, my brain says KFC Double Down, and I don't know why that is, but it's been happening all week, and I can't stop it. I'm not going to eat one, but my brain is going there.
Your arteries immediately clogging up at the thought every time that
I would never eat one of those.
Well, how about this? How about this? Being 16 years old, winning the entire championship, and going home with $10,000 as the first place prize. That would be absolutely insane. First place
Sounds
going
good.
home with 40K, second 25,000, third 18K, fourth 15K, and you could see all the rest of the numbers on your screen. Everyone is walking home with a little bit of something in their pocket, which I would personally be pretty excited about. But what about you, Primal?
I mean, at 16, especially if I'm taking even $5,000 home, making mom and dad proud, 40,000 is like you get a new car. So I'm pretty sure even to get this far, you're already making some pretty good money there. So
Hey,
that's definitely part of it.
I gotta say though, like double down. If you win, don't buy a car. Put that money away.
No.
Like save for the future.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm telling
Primal,
you.
the correct answer was college fund. College fund. Or reinforce like your house, make a bunker or something, because who knows when this pandemic is gonna let up. Zombies are
There you
coming
go.
next. That's
I
all
like
I
that
gotta
one.
say. But I mean, what's really coming up next is the start of Lobby 2. Now, I asked Whitrock after his analysis segment, do you think Lobby 2 is going to take any notes from the first lobby? And he said, everyone's probably pretty cemented in their play as of this point. But Doa, do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, totally. Everybody's got their own game plan coming into this one. Everyone has their own style that they feel comfortable with. And each lobby is different. That's the thing is that the meta in a tournament can change day by day, right? Because it depends on what styles players prefer. So yeah, I don't think it's going to really affect much. We could see something totally different in terms of general comps used here.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we are about to get into that first game of the second lobby. 8 more tacticians ready to whittle it down to the fourth. La Tigress, why don't you take us away?
Yay! Lobby number 2 of the day. We'll find out who our remaining 4 finalists are going into tomorrow's festivities. But it is really cool seeing exactly how these lobbies are turning out, what comps that we're noticing, because compared to early on in a set when you're looking at the showcases where the meta constantly evolves from lobby to lobby because no one knows exactly what it is, when we're here and a championship is on the line, people have kind of the set of what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah. Interesting. We saw a three Xayah shop for double 61 there, so we'll have to see if he decides to go with that. In the end, Xayah 2 early on can be very strong to win streak with early, but we're in a super dense galaxy. It seems like super dense is just like the galaxy of choice for the first day of the championships here. This is our third one.
Yeah, I'm actually kind
Dang,
of
and
surprised.
we had 2 trade sector too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more Big Bang, considering I think there's
Yeah.
a 20% chance to see Big Bang. And have we seen any Big Bang yet?
No, we have
Are we
not.
low
We've
rolling?
seen
I
two
think we're low
super
rolling.
dense.
Sad, yeah.
I hope we do get to see it at some point, for sure.
Yeah.
But then again, like it's also the least practiced galaxy. So part of me like feels for the pros, and I want to see them play on what they're more used to. But part of me just wants to see the insanity, right?
Yeah, I'm
and
another
I
vote
mean-
for insanity. Go ahead, Tiger.
I was just saying, with 10 rounds of the day, we're 5 games deep, 20% chance of Big Bang. So statistically, even though it's technically a fresh roll for every game, we should hopefully get at least one by the end of the day. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, one should hope so.
Have to have Mort confirm those percentages or something. But we're on board now with SLOOPER right now. SLOOPER comes to us from, I believe, Brazil. And see what he decides to go with here. He's playing really wide. Oh, wow. Early Syndra. And Hextech is so good on Syndra right now. That would be very tempting to me.
Oh, yeah. He should just instantly play that Syndra with the Gunblade. And
He's got a Nico as well.
He can even level and play Star Guardians if he wants to. He can play Protector
Yeah.
Star Guardians. So this is an extremely strong opening for him, and
Yeah.
I love the move to level here. Now the question is, can he get the components that allow him to win late? Because he's certainly going to win early. Later in the game, you really want belts on Nico, ideally a Warmogs, and you really need blue buff on Syndra. So the only concern is, if he starts win streaking here, will he be able to get the components he needs?
Oh, is he going to do it? Because I would say don't slam the Hextech first, because you want to see what components you get from possibly the carousel. But Hextech is a great item on Syndra now. She nearly always gets that shield that you get if you end up overhealing from the Hextech effect. So we'll see.
Yeah,
with
it's interesting.
Yeah, and trying to get those cast off more consistently. It's hard at this point, right? Because you get excited that you see these Star Guardians starting to already commit into these, but I do like the fact that he's waiting on the itemization, since it is still so early for things to just go completely wrong if you tunnel vision way too much in that aspect. And hey, SLOOPER is now the only one remaining to try and put Brazil on the map in terms of regional representation, since Hajche was eliminated in the first lobby.
Yep.
He is.
Sure enough.
Doing it for the motherland there. And yeah, on the point about not slamming Gunblade, I could see it if maybe what he's trying to do is lose streak so he can get the tier and the belt. But the thing with the sword in this build is there's only really 2 items that are good with sword if you're playing Star Guardians. That's Gunblade and GA, and I think Gunblade's clearly better than GA here. So it's a little bit weird to me to first level and then not slam the item, especially considering it would save you HP. But you know, this is a really good player, and different players have different styles.
No, that's a really good point, though. That there's not a whole lot of other uses for sword, and frankly, unless you're thinking about Ionic Spark being a priority over Hex Tech, there's not a whole lot of reason to save the rod either. So that's a really good point. Looks like we're swapping over to a different view right now. This is going to be one of our Chinese representatives, I believe, but I'm not quite sure which one it is. By process of elimination.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the names.
It appears
to be it's JUANZI.
Ah,
Got it.
you worked at that the quickest. Appreciate it.
Just in
I
time.
was looking down the names like one of us will eventually figure it out. But JUANZI, coming in to represent China here today.
Yep.
A little bit of brawler action early and some rebels.
All right, so this is North America versus China right here. This is a huge battle that, there's more than just a few HP on the line here. This is the one hope for North America that he's facing.
So the last time North America and China clashed in TFT was the Starside Invitational way back in, I want to say it was like April or something like that. April, maybe early May. And NA did come out on top with that one, but China had a pretty fair showing too.
Yeah, and whoa, okay, this carousel is
right.
If I'm one of the players who's in the bottom half, I'm kind of upset about this carousel. Because the thing is, when you get an all single item carousel, anyone who has been lose streaking for a specific item kind of gets screwed over. So it's going to be interesting to see how the players who now are forced to play a rod have to adapt. That said, for certain people who definitely benefit from this, now I think it was SLOOPER who had Star Guardians can just choose to slam a death cap if they really want to, and maybe they save that sword for higher purpose. So it's good for some people, but it's definitely frustrating for others.
Yeah. Well.
And he was one of the ones that looked like he was looking to wait out to see what was on the carousel, and then first reaction may have been, oh no, all same item, but oh wait, rod is okay for me. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Doa.
Oh, I was just gonna say, JUANZI right now, able to stay on top by virtue of those couple 2 stars. Finding the Vi early is kind of nice as well, but still, a little bit unsure maybe about what he wants to end up using the items with. Playing against Double 61 here.
Yeah, Double 61 really made a splash through the qualifiers. Ended up being the one to win it, to come in as a top seed. As y'all said, a young protege here. And also does claim that, watching is just as important as playing, as many people have discussed with the game of TFT. Having about a 70 to 30% split, 70% watching other players to learn, 30% playing the games. So something to consider for anyone that's aspiring to be pro, because obviously that context has allowed him to really soar within the eyes of many in the competitive scene.
Yeah, so Primal, I've got a question for you then relating to that, because as someone who's making a run at the pro scene right now, what do you think about that breakdown? 70% watching, 30% playing?
It's definitely better than the breakdown I have, which is like 90% playing and like 10% watching. And I'm looking to fix that in my own, the way I train. But yeah, TFT, the cool thing about it is all the information needed to play the game is visible when you watch someone else play. So by watching the best players, you can pick up a lot of stuff. And when you're already an extremely good player yourself, it's easy for you to watch the game, even if it doesn't have commentary, and pick up little intricacies of comps that you don't play. So I love that Double spends this much time really studying film. You know, in professional sports, players watch film all the time. And I'm actually curious to know if Double has spent as much time watching these players who he's going to be playing against and tailoring his strategy for them. That would be interesting to see if we ever get the chance to talk to them. But I think that's a really intelligent way to approach the game.
Yeah, certainly watching the ones that he can watch anyway. It can be a little bit tough to find VODs here and there from other regions. But I agree. We know other players, like, you know, we've got Crone on the broadcast. He's well known for researching his opponents pretty extensively before coming into a tournament lobby. And he's performed really well in a lot of tournaments, I think, because of that. So it does seem like a good way to approach it, if you can.
Research is great. I mean, somebody that did the whole grad school thing, that is pretty much research all the way through. You know, if you have a love for it, TFT is definitely something that translates research skills very well. If you are somebody that enjoys learning, which I think most people that play these kinds of games are, because it is so strategy based. But we are going to get to check in with MISMATCHEDSOCKS, the NA representative. And Primal, you have done some coaching directly with him, correct?
I did, and he's clearly has a gifted mind for TFT. The thing that stuck out to me most in the coaching was just how smart he is about positioning. I think a lot of North American and European players are familiar with his RE positioning guide, where he showed players a lot of intricacies about how to use RE to maximal effectiveness. And just generally speaking, I think his positioning on all comps is so clean and so consistently powerful, and allows him to get results that a lot of other players are not able to get the results with the same comp. So if you were to make a look, like one of the, you know, like those Pokemon graphs that show like this champion has the most dexterity or strength, I would say positioning might be where MISMATCHEDSOCKS tops everyone else.
S tier positioning for sure.
S tier.
That RE guide was really fun to read. And that's a strong Poppy, but it looks like it's still going to be a little bit of a rough loss early on. But again, you know, you're generally not terribly worried about that unless you're really trying hard to win streak. But I think we're going to see more and more players going for Star Guardians as the day goes on here.
It almost feels like sometimes when you don't see things earlier in the day, it's not that the players discount it or don't think it's strong. Obviously, every game is a whole new situation depending on what you roll into. But then there's also kind of that nice reminder as you see those comps doing well too, and you look back and think, if I see this, maybe I'll start going into it. But the Poppy, so obviously in the older variations of Star Guardian where Poppy was a bit more focused, putting those items here, would you say this is just to try and increase that tankiness on that Vanguard front line, hold on in this early game to make sure he's not losing too much HP?
Yeah, I think what happened here is he got a lot of rods, and he was like, I just need to start spending these rods. So he decided to make a death cap. Death cap's usually not an item you slam, because it's usually not like best in slot in too many different comps. But when you get a ton of an item, you don't want to have all that power sitting on your bench. So he's like, okay, I'll slam this. It's good on Poppy because she hits the farthest unit who's often a carry, and she gets a huge shield. So it'll help him save a lot of HP while he looks to eventually pivot into what looks like Star Guardians.
Yep, certainly could. A couple rumbles. That's kind of interesting. You can go for a couple different sort of front lines as you're building towards Star Guardians. One is Protector is really common. Vanguards works as well. Rarely you can go Demolitionist. I've seen success, and I've had success with like a Rumble 2 and a Ziggs thrown into this. It's rare. You barely see it, but I think it's worth mentioning because it can be pretty strong. But for now, we're going to just see him stick with the same thing that he's been working on. But yeah, it does look like he wants to go Star Guardians, but he's kind of got the Snipers option loaded up as well, if that's what comes to. That is such an early mech! Oh my gosh, 3-3? Mech for JUANZI?
That's a high roll. Not only did he high roll mech, he is at 100 HP already. So you see this and you're like, well, this guy's having a great game to start the lobby.
Yeah.
So
got a
it's hard
glove
to
on
actually
his bench
see,
too.
Yeah, it's hard to see when does JUANZI actually fall off. He might just win streak into infinity, and it's almost, I look at this and I'm like, this guy's already top 4. It's a pretty high roll game. So good for him.
Yeah.
That's a really strong. You got that mech all the way already. There was a 2-star Ziggs just to amp up with the demolitionist a tad. Had the Bramble Vest there to keep that mech even more tanky during that time. So I would definitely be worried if I was any of these other players going against him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we need a representative from China to get through to tomorrow. It would be weird if none of the Chinese players made it through. We've got 2 in this group, so we've got a better chance. But Achen from our last group wasn't able to make it through, so it's kind of on ALPHAGO and JUANZI to make something happen this lobby.
Yeah, no pressure, right?
Right. Especially considering how a lot of people that are watching this from the other regions just don't have that much experience watching players like JUANZI because of, like Doa was saying, it's difficult to access the VODs and things in those times. So sometimes people are going to be looking at them even more to make a show out on what people perceive to be one of the potentially strongest regions coming through. We'll see how he fares in this matchup.
Oh my god, this is like the dream mech game. So not only does he already have a QSS on mech, he has really good items ready to go for Victor. He has, half a blue buff or Shojins, and he has the rod to eventually make the Morellos, which is core on Victor. So he's in a really great spot. The only thing that's not ideal is Bramble Vest. It's not super great later in the game, but it makes up for it by helping you win streak early in the game, and I'm guessing that's part of why he hasn't lost a single round yet. So just a huge health advantage that he's going to have will allow him to make up for the fact that he doesn't have absolutely perfect items. So really, really strong position for JUANZI, and he should just look to go 8 because he already has a Fizz too. What is going on here?
Oh wow, yeah, you're right. What? This game is insane. So he must have gotten a Fizz. He must have high rolled a Fizz, and then he also must have gotten a couple Nikos from one of the neutral rounds. This guy is out here playing like a Big Bang, and everyone else is just playing Super Dance, apparently.
Yeah, secret access to the galaxy that we're all hoping to see right
Apparently.
under our noses.
Yeah.
Next, he's gonna get a force. He got the Force of Nature. Maybe he's been getting free rolls every round. It could be that this guy's on Big Bang and everyone else is here on Earth.
Could be. Definitely a step above everyone else in this lobby right now. That said, if you look at these items on this Lucian here, and that's the kind of thing that's going to deal well with the mech, and he's actually going to drop around here. When it comes down to it, Giant Slayer and Deathblade are the 2 items that really, really handle mech. Hey, how about a Fizz 3? Let's go. All right, but so if we end up with a comp that has Jin in those items, or theoretically Blasters can do it too. There are ways to handle this.
Yeah.
I can't remember which qualifier it was, but I think there was one where we were even seeing triple Giant Slayer, where there were a lot of mech compositions being run there, an opportunity to specifically tech against that kind of difficulty, and Lucian being a strong mid-game carry to slap those items on to take care of the business.
Yeah, those are great points you made, and now looking at ALPHAGO, he actually already has 2 Giant Slayers. Even though it looks like JUANZI, I think he's certainly still top 4s, but a first is going to be really difficult because the Bramble Vest is not particularly helpful when you're facing people who have Giant Slayer, because one of the unique effects of Bramble Vest is that it negates damage from critical hits. But with Giant Slayer, you're not all that reliant on critical hits. So from this spot, it's actually kind of difficult for JUANZI to take a first, because anyone who has Giant Slayer is going to kill his mech super, super fast. What you might want to do is go for another dodge item, like a Shroud or a Trap Claw even, to help him just avoid the auto attacks outright.
I think it's a good idea. Notably, both of our Chinese players on top of this lobby so far. It's still early, but strong start for ALPHAGO as well, as we're looking at his view. Playing against PANDA from South Korea. PANDA is from the city of Daejeon, which is in the center of South Korea, and I know it well because my grandmother-in-law actually lives there, so I've been to that city many times. It's a nice little town.
The City of Science.
Why is it called City of Science? Yeah.
It's called the City of Science because they had some big science expose kind of not expose exhibition, kind of like a World's Fair kind of thing, but for science there back in a decade or 2 ago. I don't exactly know where it was, but there's this park with all this sciencey stuff, like there's a big rocket ship and all this. So it's known as the City of Science because of this event that happened years ago.
The Five-Head City.
So cool.
Yeah, pretty much. So this dude's smart.
Exactly.
Comes from the City of Science. Yeah.
Totally. And it's also
Pretty
cool
cool.
because just like how we were saying with Obo earlier, even though he didn't make it through those rounds to make it to tomorrow, how excited he was to represent his region being from Australia. Panda shares a similar sentiment. I believe the direct quote is, "This is my first time in life being the representative of anything, so I can't find the words to describe how it feels." And he looks locked in, ready to try and take a win for the region.
And
Right.
ALPHAGO,
So-
I don't know if you guys saw just how quickly the Vayne shredded that mech. So that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's the Vayne one, right? Who basically, killed the mech in 4 or 5 hits, purely off the strength of Giant Slayer. So that's going to continue to be a problem later in the game for JUANZI.
Yep, sure will. So we're gonna jump over to Panda's perspective. It looks like doing a little bit of scouting here.
Looked like there were a couple Syndras that had already started stacking on. I believe both of them had a death cap. This one right here being only a 1-star, but I believe I saw at least another 2-star. But he looks like he has
Yeah.
some flexibility on where he could go from here. He's not committed, but the Nico is also 2-star, got the Warmogs on already for that tankiness right up front, in front of the face of that mech.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
be hard to
this is
break through that
actually,
Nico, but at the same time, like this Syndra's still a 1-star, so doing damage pretty slowly.
Syndra's so good.
Oh,
All
all right, yeah.
Fast enough for this,
I think she's got this. I think she's got this
the
all
triple kill.
day.
No.
No, she's got it. She's
Oh,
got it.
fizzle.
One more.
Goes
Oh, there
off.
you go.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Syndra, pretty
I
good
thought she was
unit.
gonna get the
it turned
triple
out.
kill. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes she does that, right? She just gets stronger
Yeah.
over the course of the fight. So we've seen multiple.
Syndra
I think
too
we've
would've
seen
triple
2
killed that.
mech, for sure. I think we've seen multiple mech players and multiple Star Guardian players, if I'm not mistaken. So I actually think if you're ALPHAGO, who had the Vayne with double Giant Slayer, you're feeling really good about your spot right now. Because although normally Cybers has an issue with facing Star Guardians, when the Star Guardian has a Warmogs, or the Nico rather has a Warmogs, and Giant Slayer is on your Vayne, he has absolutely no problem dealing with the front line anymore, and then the rest of the team kind of falls apart. So I actually think this is a game where the Cyber players have an advantage because of their itemization versus the high health front lines.
Interesting. I mean, you're absolutely right. That's something that people have kind of discovered, I think, as the season or as the set is kind of drawn to a close, is just like the importance of Giant Slayer. Like, everyone's always said it's a pretty good item, but I feel like it wasn't until maybe about a month ago that we saw people seriously start to intentionally stack it in situations like this.
And it's interesting in the sense that it also shows how each game just develops, because yes, we've seen Giant Slayer, but we're obviously seeing more in this lobby where there are those bigger units to try to attack. And clearly some response by the players.
Oh, the Star Guardian mirror matchup. So I personally find this matchup so frustrating because the way Syndra works is kind of weird here. What'll happen is every time Syndra ults, more orbs will be put on the field. So it's actually kind of to your advantage for your Syndra to cast second rather than first, so that the enemy Syndra casts, then you pick up her orbs and throw it right back at her. So that's actually a pretty difficult matchup to play sometimes, where it's kind of just down to RNG. So I'm actually curious to see what adaptations the players make if it ends up being a Star Guardian mirror matchup for first and second place.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique interaction that both Syndras use both Syndra's orbs when they ult. It can get a little bit weird, but like you said, yeah, you kind of almost want to go second.
And I think that's one of those things that's developed over time too, because I think the original Syndra 1 didn't recast on, like, if she killed somebody, I don't think she redirected, and there's some minor changes since this set first dropped that's really made her into this powerful option.
Right. So she got a really nice buff. I think it was around 3.5 where, oh my goodness. All right.
That Gnar ult was so bad.
Pretty good, yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah, just to finish your point, Latigris, yeah, Syndra got a buff where her ultimate, if it overkills, so if there's more orbs going in even after a target is dead, they'll go to the next target, whereas before they didn't do that. You would just kind of like ult a low health target and just lose a ton of damage. So it's just a great quality of life change for Syndra that they put in 3.5.
This is really interesting positioning by Panda. Normally you see the Nico out frontline solo so that all the melee units surround Nico and Nico just stuns them. I'm wondering if Panda is actually putting the Jarvan up front because the Jarvan has Thief's Gloves, so it has a lot of dodge and can maybe tank the Giant Slayer players actually a little bit better. If that is the reason, I think that's pretty brilliant. Because normally, you know, when you position, you sort of just fall into a default positioning. But if he's assuming he scouted the lobby and just saw the itemization and made this change, that's actually really, really smart by Panda.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's brilliant if that's exactly the reason he's doing that. Because that is one of the ways to mitigate the Giant Slayers, just by putting a lot of dodge in there. Which old Nico builds did do, but haven't done as much lately.
That is that responsiveness we're talking about that these top players are really adept to make, and a unit like Nico where you really want her to get that ult off to be able to get that CC. It would be unfortunate if she accidentally got popped right at the start. Now we're going to get to see how this plays out with her standing a little bit behind where she's used to, and Nico on the opposite side with some items to boot to keep her healthy.
Well, I'll tell you what's disappointing is rolling down to 0 gold and not finding a Syndra 2. That is really rough.
That sucks.
And then seeing the Syndra 2 on the other side and saying, I wish you were mine, but you're not.
The Syndra 2 they told you not to worry about. But yeah, there's I think there are 3 Star Guardian players in this lobby. Not everyone can hit Janna.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, so the thing is, you don't really want to run 6 Star Guardian unless you have a spat where you can make Victor a Star Guardian, or when you hit Janna. So this actually might just come down to who hits Janna first, unfortunately. And I feel like one of the players who's not playing Star Guardians is probably going to win this lobby, given how contested this comp is and how prevalent Giant Slayers already are. Oh, there's Janna.
All right. Well, sometimes you just hit Janna. Yeah. So that is certainly pretty good. So he can go up to 6 Star Guardians now, which is also nice because we're getting to the point in the game where if you hit 6 Star Guardians before another Star Guardian player, you can have a little bit of an edge there as well. But I agree with what you said, Primal. I think it's pretty unlikely that one of these players wins the lobby just because you can't split it. You can have 2 people running it, but 3 is really starting to stretch those champion resources thin.
Yeah, because even looking, oh, great, there's a Syndra in the shop, but how many people are running Syndra to try and keep grabbing those? Luckily, he had the 2-star already. Slooper did. I can't remember exactly who's still waiting to finish theirs off, but it's getting pretty tight with those resources.
Well, Panda was. I think Panda is out in 8th already. So, yeah.
That effect
knocked
being
out.
seen.
Quick top 8, that happens sometimes if you're contested. You know, we can see, too, that, Slooper is at 6 with only 11 HP. So, yeah, it's just kind of an issue where a lot of people contesting the same thing.
I think Panda was one of the first to go for the Star Guardian, too. I believe he was one that had early on rolled into some things. Unfortunately, wasn't able to pull it through here in the end. So he'll be the first to exit, but it is just game number 1. There are 5 in total that everyone in this lobby will be competing through to get as many points to make that top 4.
Exactly. And if I'm Panda, it sucks, but I don't feel too bad because at the end of the day, he had a good start for Star Guardians. It made sense to go for it. Unfortunately, he got double contested on it, and that just happens. Sometimes it be like that. You just you shake it off. You go into the next game knowing you're still a solid player. But I think right now this is mainly going to be a fight between Socks apparently I guess is the winning Star Guardian because he's win streaking right now and doing super well. And then the mech player who is doing really well, JUANZI, and then probably Cybers. So it's going to be interesting to see of those comps who manages the top.
Sox has his win streak ended, though, and down in 5th place. Pretty big difference between 5th place and 6th place in this game. And we'll see how he goes from there. But now it's CUPIDITAS from Argentina who's on the win streak. But I think we're going to have a pretty tight top 4.
Ooh,
yeah,
did Sox
I
just
think
get a
so.
Star Guardian spat? I think he just got a Star Guardian spat. That's awesome for him.
Yeah. That's
yes, please show
good.
us.
If you can put on a Victor or something like that. Scout him. Scout him.
Scout him.
Show him.
Oh. I think he got it.
Teased at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess we'll find
so,
out.
Protector Spatula item is actually really good for Slooper as well. You can do things like put that on the Syndra to give her a little bit of a shield, and that's what he's going to do. So that's kind of a lesser used defensive item that can be really good. But the thing is, it's probably the worst defensive item for Syndra because her hit points are low to begin with. So getting that Protector buff doesn't help you that much because the shield is going to be fairly small.
4 HP to Slooper's name going into this, one of the remaining Star Guardian players of this match. So if he does manage to fall out, then Sox will be very happy about that lack of contest from here on out. Going against this Mech comp, and there's a Victor right there in the back that has that Morelos.
Yeah, this is a really interesting matchup. I play a lot of Mech lately, so I feel like I have a decent handle on the Mech versus Star Guardian matchup. A lot of it's dependent on whether you can put the Mech on the same side as all the carries and not on the same side as the Nico. Because what'll happen is usually the Mech will get stuck on the Nico if you just leave him dead center and get perma-stunned, especially if they don't have QSS. But if you can put the Mech on the correct side, it's actually a really easy matchup for the Mech player. So it's kind of a skill matchup where you need to position well to win.
So double 61 is still in that #1 spot. We see Slooper on the opposite side here, moments away from potential death. ALPHAGO looking to put the nail in the coffin, but not able to do so.
Poor ALPHAGO. He has a random bow stuck on his vein that he never completed into anything. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the danger of slamming a half item, right? Like sometimes you don't find the item that you need, and now you have your primary carry with a pretty much, with a half an item that doesn't do anything for them, and it's really hard to get stronger from this point. So I think that's actually a really, really big problem for ALPHAGO, and kind of a big mistake if we're being honest.
So looking at our top 4 now, CUPIDITAS actually tied, I suppose, with ALPHAGO here, but the I almost said it, double 61. On top of 32, but only barely over MISMATCHEDSOCKS, so it still should be a pretty quick top 4, or close top 4 out there. The question is, who's going to take 5th and who's going to take 4th?
Yeah, that's the tough spot right here when making top 4 is what matters to accumulate those points for tomorrow, and it's so tight between everyone later in the game when these slams start happening pretty hard. Got to be on the edge of your seat.
Absolutely. I think to the question of who goes 4th and 5th, unless ALPHAGO hits something like an Echo 2 right here, I think it's kind of hard for him to win because his items ended up being pretty bad, right? Has his random Star Guardian charm, doesn't really do anything for the team. Does get to remake the Vayne, so he made Star Guardian Vayne, so he has true damage on the Vayne instead of needing armor penetration. So that's a really nice adaptation. That's something you can do if you struggle to hit the Last Whisper. So now the Vayne will do true damage. So it's not as good as having just Last Whisper, Infinity Edge, and Giant Slayer, but it's still pretty good. And he got himself out of a tough spot. So really creative play by ALPHAGO.
A lot of damage.
And now he's just steamrolling the enemy team. Beautiful.
Look at that. That Vayne's damage. Yeah, now that it's been swapped over with the Star Guardian bangle is just crazy. So yeah, he may be able to get a little bit higher than 4th here. We'll see. CUPIDITAS out in 5th, though.
Oh, so we are in our top 4, everybody. Yep. That means MISMATCHEDSOCKS, JUANZI. We have double 61 in the number 4 spot, but our eyes are on ALPHAGO.
And it's the non-Star Guardian player that gets the Janna 2 first. That's
sometimes life isn't fair, right? And one thing I think that's been helping ALPHAGO a lot in this game is actually the Blitzcrank Fiora Zephyr combo. He's been using it super well to exploit the enemy carries and just leaving them positions where they just can't avoid the hooks. So look at that. Disables the Vayne, pulls a Fiora, which is not super great, but like, where do you go? How do you hide? You can't.
There is nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. And
oh wow, Ash hitting back line too.
Yeah, even got the arrow out. That's going to be a slam. Double 61 knocked out in the number 4 spot.
Sox down to 5 HP as well, so NA's hopes and dreams on the line. But hey, it's a top 3, so it's going to be decent either way. But the big story here, both of our Chinese players, 1 and 2, once again in the lobby. JUANZI and ALPHAGO having a really, really strong game 1.
For sure. Yeah, that corner that you were talking about. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, you go ahead, actually. I think we were going to say the same thing, so you get to go.
I was just committing what you were making before that point about that corner where you have the Blitz and the Fiora, but then also kind of having the Vayne protected, but he does decide to switch it over. We're in those final moments where you can get a bit more specific in your guessing game for this positioning.
Mm-hmm. And this fight is just a story of Giant Slayers, right? You know, the Vayne just nuked the Nico down. I actually would have liked to see him just Zephyr the Nico instead, because the Nico didn't have a Quicksilver Sash at all, but it just didn't really matter. At the end of the day, his items are super good for this matchup. And now, you know, Sox, respectable third place finish, but ALPHAGO playing extremely creatively with his items. And I really love to see this.
So I was talking to a friend of mine who's over in China in the Chinese scene, and he was saying ALPHAGO is on a team called Alpha. So he's on a team with other TFT players. No doubt that helped him get really good prep coming into this one. And JUANZI is a known to be a very good player and also a popular streamer over there. So these are definitely kind of two of China's best coming into Lobby 2, and they're showing it in Game 1.
Absolutely. To make it to the top 2 off the start, that's pretty strong to represent your region.
Absolutely. ALPHAGO, I'm pretty sure, is also a computer program that like beat a Go player. That's the one that they. Yeah, right. the one that it beat the best Go player or something like that. So I wonder if it's a play on that. Maybe he's saying he basically has the mind of a computer. I'd believe it based on this play, given how quickly he's adapted to his item situation. And right now, I think it's very, very... Go ahead, Doa.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it doesn't matter because the game's over, I guess. JUANZI takes out his fellow Chinese representative, ALPHAGO, to win Lobby number 1. And how about that? If you're a fan of Chinese TFT, that is the game for you right there.
Yeah, in the end, in those final moments, you saw the Zephyr wasn't quite able to hit the Victor on the opposite side. Instead, ended up hitting the Karma, so Victor was there aplenty to do all the damage that he wanted to do to be able to finish that off. Primal, what do you think that says for China as a region to come out with 2 players making it into that top 2, something that we have commended for them being very aggressive in their style?
I think it means that China might be better than some of us in the West were thinking. When you look at China, just by the numbers, they should have a bunch of really, really good players, just given how big the server population is. So it's a little bit disappointing to see Achen not do super well. And obviously, it's a bit early to say that these 2 players are the best in the lobby, but you don't take a first or a second without being good at the game. So this might be a run of Chinese dominance that we're witnessing the start of, but we have to see.
Yeah.
And we do get to relive, or go ahead, Noah.
Oh, no, you were about to lead into the highlights. I think that's where we're going next.
Yeah,
so
on that mind length. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we can try the alternating a word thing, maybe that'll be for another time. But we do have highlights. We're going to take a look at how everything ended up going down in that game. Doa, how impactful do you think it was that there were multiple players spread across trying to get those Star Guardians?
I mean, hugely impactful, right? Because that's whenever you have more players contesting a comp than what the game supports, you're going to have situations where those players are generally not going to do very well. But this was an interesting round early on because this was where JUANZI had his win streak ended by double 61. Remember, he had that mech really, really early, and it was the Giant Slayer and the Death Blade for Lucian that ended up stopping that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So we watched JUANZI early in the game, and we saw that he hit the Fizz early. And I speculated that him having Bramble might be an issue later in the game, but evidently it wasn't that much of an issue because he managed to take a first with, in my opinion, not awesome mech items for the lobby. And I'm guessing that was based off really good positioning. Mech is a pretty positioning reliant comp. You really want the mech to be on the correct side of the map. So that he's ulting, carries and not tanks. So I imagine JUANZI had really, really good scouting that game, and that's why he was able to take it first.
Yeah. Well,
you do have to think about kind of that adaptation. We talked about it countlessly, but Mech being that it's a strong composition, it makes sense for him to have went there, but the ability to pivot off of it in the end worked out well for JUANZI to get this overall victory. First one to get a first place finish here within our second lobby of the day, the second part of the 8 players that we have. And I mean, Doa, quite a representation.
Absolutely. China takes spots 1 and 2. Mismatched Socks gets third in that game, and Avali actually told me apparently a fire alarm went off. He was saying in his building during that, so getting it done under massive distraction too. So prop to Socks there.
Faker level play, man.
Yeah.
Even fire can't
Apparently.
stop this man. Love it.
He's trying to make his way to the top. Strong performances from everyone across the board. Very tight lobby thus far. I'm going to head out for the meantime. I'll see y'all again in Game 3, but I hope you enjoy Game 2.
Definitely will. Thanks for hanging out. And hey, Becca, welcome back. So
Hi.
we may have a little bit of a delay until the second game, so we can give Mismatched Socks time to figure out if his building is actually on fire or not. Hopefully it is not. But obviously we want him to find out rather than be that dog in the meme image where everything is burning around him and he's playing TFT. He's like, this is fine.
This is fine.
You don't literally want to be that in real life. So
Yeah.
game number 1,
So-
Becca, what was your takeaways from that?
Okay, it was a Chinese player that was playing Cybers, was playing Blitz instead of Wukong, which is so unheard of for NA players at least. I know you could play it, and it's not like super creative or anything, but NA players tend to always play the Wukong. So it was really interesting that you chose to stay with the Blitz throughout the game, over switching over to the higher cost unit. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool adaptation when you don't think you're going to be facing much physical damage, which there wasn't a lot of physical damage in the lobby. And I think the bigger thing was probably the Zephyr. Allowed him to basically have a Zephyr Blitz by having it on Fiora, and it won him so many rounds. I think we all know how frustrating it can be to play against a Blitz with a Zephyr. That's basically what he had, and I guess he judged that that would be better than the Wukong ult or the armor you get from Wukong. So really, really smart. I'm so consistently impressed by how much these guys don't autopilot. They think about what's the best for this particular scenario.
Yeah. Update for you. It looks like Socks's house is not on fire, so good news there. The players are loading into the lobby, so probably going to get into game number 2 right now. Okay. Hey, and it is our first normal Galaxy of the day.
Okay, normal Galaxy. I feel like a lot of players like normal Galaxy.
Yeah, it's just normal. Why not?
Well, there's nothing to complain about, and TFT players love complaining.
There's always something. There's always something.
I got something to complain about. Where's Big Bang?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're right.
well-
That is. See, true TFT player over here complaining right away.
Always find something to complain about, trust me. But yeah, I think normal Galaxy, as Becca noted, is just, everyone's familiar with it. It's something that everyone's had a ton of practice on, so you're never going to be sad about that. And I guess we'll just see like a pretty typical game. And I think there's certain comps that actually benefit from not being on certain Galaxies. I'm not super sure, but Star Guardians might be one of those comps. So I'm not sure that it really benefits from heavy re-rolling or having an extra unit in. I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
Well, I think Star Guardian is super strong. Fortunately for NA, Sox was the victorious Star Guardian player there, but he did get slowed down by having a lot of other contesting Star Guardian players. So I still think it's the more contested comp. So yeah,
It seems to be what everybody wants to play right now.
Yeah.
We're definitely seeing more, but that game just goes to show you really do need to scout well to make sure that you're not being like mega contested on it, right? So I don't think we're going to see 3 players go for it in any more lobbies going forward. But how about the start for JUANZI, though? Finds 2 Space Pirates pretty early on, finds another Graves. So this could theoretically end up being a pretty strong opening if he's able to 2-star one of those and put a couple items on the Darius maybe. I like it.
Well, we saw like in the first lobby, Obo was trying to play for Space Pirates, and we mentioned that it was the riskier play, but he was a little behind on points, so he's going for the Hail Mary. But I don't think JUANZI needs to do that, especially after his win. So yeah, he'll probably just use it to streak into a more reliable comp. Also, his items look really good.
His items look really good. Yeah, I think from this point, you probably just look to slam maybe a Hand of Justice for early game, so you don't lose too much HP. And then there's a number of directions you can go. You can go Mech from here. The bow turns into a Titan's Resolve. The rod can turn into a Morello's. You could also play Star Guardians from here, although I don't think that's ideal with a leftover bow. So
Right.
yeah, the items are pretty flexible, and I'm curious to see what JUANZI favors.
So it seems like one way you could think about it is you could build the Hand of Justice for Darius, and then you could save the bow for like another bow for a Shaco later. You could put the Hand of Justice on a mech later, and you could try to just transition into mech at some point. Depending on the items you pick up.
Man, I just saw him pick up the graves on accident instead of picking up the item to build the thing. And it just reminds me of the times where you accidentally pick up the wrong item off your bench.
Yeah.
Then you end up making some random like ZZ rod when you're trying to make a
Or you accidentally put the item on the champion in the far right side of your bench because it's right next to the corner one there. So you're trying to put an item on your carry and you put it on some of your bench. You're like, no, I need to sell that.
It's a sad,
You don't want to.
sad situation. This is a really
Darius
good
with like
opener.
a healing item. Yeah, healing or damage item. Darius early, so strong.
Yeah, he's basically like a 2-star when you have a Hand of Justice on him. Just because he benefits from both the damage, particularly when he's low. When the enemy's low, he gets double damage. And I'm not sure if Hodge multiplies with that, but it feels like it sometimes, that's for sure. And the healing is really good. And also protectors work really well if you have a Darius opening, because once you get the Xin Zhao, you also get Celestials. So no matter what, your Darius is going to have healing. So I like this start a lot.
Right.
You get Space Pirate. You're never going to lose a ton of HP, and sometimes you make a lot of gold.
Man, he nearly got that reset. Oh, it was so close. But hey, you'll take those, right?
Yep.
Hey, wait.
Swapping over
Didn't
to
we just watch
Slooper. We did, yes. It's just helping us catch up a bit, I guess. Wow, it's welcome to the land of the pairs for Slooper. He has got so many 2-ofs and another one even on his bench. Could pick up that Xayah too, though, if I recall seeing that correctly before he started scouting. I didn't see his items though, so I don't really know what he's favored towards. Oh, okay, interesting.
I think I saw someone with a
scouting so much.
Kog'Maw 2. Yeah, he had a Kog'Maw 2 with Shiv on it already.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, I think.
Right.
Go ahead, Becca.
So I mean, we were expecting a lot of Star Guardian players, and in the first lobby, we definitely didn't see them, right? Well, there were some, but I mean, I think this lobby is definitely gonna be pushing more Star Guardians, just based off last lobby, right? Because in the first group of 8, we saw someone win with Star Guardians, and that was almost it.
Right.
Yeah, I think in the first lobby, Star Guardians got underplayed a little bit. It might have been because there were 2 trade sector maps, and I don't know if Star Guardians is ideal there. I think part of the reason we saw an abundance of Star Guardians in the last game is because you guys remember that all Rod carousel. So it kind of made it.
Yeah, you're right.
It kind of just biased the lobby. So I think now that we're in a normal Galaxy, we haven't seen any more dog specials. Hopefully, we see a little bit more diversity.
Sounds accurate to me. What's the item going to be for Slooper here? He did... Okay, so you could grab a belt. You could also grab a cloak. That would give him the opportunity to build QSS. Yeah, all right. Belt, because now you have Trap Claw. You've got Redemption, I guess. Trap Claw seems like the best option there, but... Huh.
Early RE2 while you're streaking feels very good.
He's thinking really Star Guardians, isn't he?
He might be. Yeah,
I bet
he
he
might
is.
Be. Yeah.
He took the belt.
It's kind of tough. Yeah, it's kind of tough because he doesn't have any protectors except this J4 who's just riding the bench, and he needs to make econ also. He doesn't want to lose any money for these, so I think he can make econ by just selling off the Xayah. I don't think he plays that at all, so yeah, he sells that right there. But yeah, I think he's just still kind of open. Honestly, there's still a lot of directions he can go from here. Star Guardians would be great, but he can also go mech. But then again, I just love playing mech, so everything I see is like, oh yeah, you can go mech from here, which you kind of can.
You know, it's funny. I'm in the same situation actually. Like all my set 3 games, my brain is like, oh, I'm doing this, but I could go mech, and then I end up doing that 9 times out of 10.
Mech is a little hard to pass up on because it seems so consistent, especially when you have the correct items, and it is a flexible build and your items can also be flexible, so it is so hard to pass up on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know these players are playing to win, But I guess top 4 is fine on the first day. I think tomorrow maybe we'll see less mechs because they want to win-win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, possibly. You raise a good point that the mentality does need to be a little bit different, maybe from day 1 to day 2, because day 2 it's all about or day 1 rather, it's all about consistency, right? If you get top 4 every game, well, guess what? You're top 4. You're gonna make it through. The next day, though, you need to hit that point threshold, and then you need a first place to win. And that's something that kind of came back to bite MISMATCHEDSOCKS a little bit in the OCNA qualifiers, because he got second place 5 games in a row. So ended up getting to the global championships by virtue of having a billion points, but wasn't able to win it because he just couldn't seem to quite get that first.
And that's when
I kind of want to revise. Yeah, you go.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was gonna say that's where playing the format really matters, like understanding when it's time to play for top 4 versus first. I expect what you'll see tomorrow is, maybe in the first few rounds you play for just top 4 or highest placement you can, and as soon as you get to that 18-point threshold, you start going for comps that are riskier. You can play, stuff like Yi reroll that can take a first for sure if you hit everything, but comps that are more first or eighth once you reach that point in the tournament. So I'm really interested to see who has the versatility to not only take top 4s, but also knows how to play those first or eighth comps.
So I was just going to say that I think I should probably revise my statement because obviously Mech just won the last lobby and got first. But he also had a fizz too so early. I mean, he just kind of cruise controlled up to the first. So I do wonder if they'll easily hit first with Mech more often.
I'm gonna stand by your statement. I think it's hard to take a first with Mech unless you high roll like that.
Yeah, I lean towards that too. I think it is really good, but the days of like Mech Infiltrator winning every lobby are like way gone at this point. There's a lot of other comps we saw even in that last lobby that can handle the Mech pretty easily. So if one of those comps had the opportunity to become really strong, then Mech definitely wouldn't have won. And usually you do see stronger representations of those comps in lobbies. So yeah, I think you were right the first time, where it is a little bit tougher to take a first with Mech, but it's pretty easy to take a second through fourth.
Yeah,
absolutely. And interesting, just slam to Gunblade there. I like the Gunblade slam. I think Ziggs is super good with Gunblade just because of how often he casts. He's often getting that shield. I am curious to see where he goes from here. You can go Mech. From Gunblade, I think Victor is excellent with it. He's kind of far away from Star Guardians because he just doesn't. I mean, I guess he does have some protectors, but he doesn't have any Syndras, any Nikos by this point. So I think at this point it's a matter of you scout. Maybe you roll a bit at 7 to get some direction, and then you just commit to either Mech or Star Guardian.
Yeah, we do have JUANZI still streaking, and I cannot for the life of me remember what he was playing when we were watching.
I'm sure we'll see it scouted later, but just another strong start for one of China's representatives. Looking at ADASTRA's board.
Oh, he's right here.
Oh, there he is. All right. Well, there you go.
Oh,
Looks
yeah,
like a little bit of Protector, Darkstar snipers. Yeah, and that Darius.
Yeah, he has
wow.
that strong Darius too.
He does. I guess this is the second game in a row we've seen him kind of high roll
Slam.
early game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he win this? I don't know if he wins this. I don't think he does. I'm saying he.
I don't think he does. I think
the Zig solos everything here. Yeah.
The streak is broken.
Yeah.
Oh
no!
I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't.
Oh wow.
No caster curse. No caster curse.
No caster curse. There's a fizz. Me Mech.
Mech.
Yeah.
No.
We Mech.
We Mech.
Or Woshi Mech if you're from China.
Woshi Mech.
Right? Woshi Mech.
Right. I think that's how I've heard players say you say it in Chinese, but I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Kiyun made it a meme when he did it during the tournament.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't know what this means. If I say something offensive as accident, this might be my last cast. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure that whole tournament was Kiyun trying to make sure he didn't offend the entire country. That was really funny.
Yeah,
mission accomplished.
Now maybe we've did it on an official Riot Games broadcast, but anyway,
there you go.
I think ADASTRA now has direction off of that fizz. Could choose to just say, okay, I'm gonna run Mech from here, and probably just econ until 4-1. board looking pretty strong, so probably not going to lose too much HP. And if I'm him at this point, I'm looking for items for the front line because he already has pretty good Victor items. That said, eventually he does want to get a Morelos on Victor because Gunblade Victor is generally not going to be enough to carry. But yeah, I think right now it's smart to start getting the mech items because the mech items will become more immediately relevant.
Right. So, been watching ADASTRA for a while. We should mention he's our only player from Turkey in the Global Championships. And Turkey, if you're not aware, has a pretty massive esports scene, especially on the League of Legends side of things. So pretty natural that they'd be fielding a lot of TFT players as well. So cool to see a rep from over there.
For sure. There have been a lot of Turkish players showing up in League of Legends esports. So it's not a surprise, I think, to see really competitive Turkish players in TFT as well.
Yeah, we've had a couple of Turkish teams at Worlds over the years.
Yeah, and I'm just saying...
With that other game that's in the TFT client.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I think they'll let us talk about League of Legends.
No, I'm saying, like, to me, it's the TFT client. And there's this other game where you only get to control one champion at a time. I don't really get it, but, you know, I've heard it's popular.
Twisted Tree Line?
Twisted Tree Line? Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the name escapes me right now, but...
you got it.
JUANZI, JUANZI, this is the second game in a row that we've seen him at 90 plus HP at this point. So he's having some excellent mid and early games. I would say this board, although strong, it's not like a face roll strong board. So clearly he's been positioning well and using his Darius to maximum efficacy.
And he's level 7 with 50 gold on stage 3. He's very ahead. Very ahead.
Yeah.
His Ash Arrow kind of trolled him a little bit the last round, but he's still doing pretty good. CUPIDITAS, though, from Argentina, up at number 1 in the lobby right now.
Nice.
So cool to see if he can hold on to that.
Did you guys catch what Lily's been playing?
I did not see that.
Yeah, would love to see CUPIDITAS once we get a second and see what's making him win so hard because he got 97 HP.
So I believe we don't actually have his stream view where players are playing from all over the place. Sometimes the connections are better or worse, so I don't think we can actually do that. But we can probably we'll have to wait until somebody scouts it. I'm sure we'll see it at some point if he keeps winning.
Oh, the Darius!
Welcome to 2020. He's popping off.
Come on in, Slam, and welcome to the gym.
Okay, that song plays in my head every single time as well. Except you sing it way more in tune than I would have.
Come on and slap. I mean, it's a male voice. I have a male voice, so you got to pass, I think. The Space Jam.
Is that Primal or is that the Quad City DJs? I can't tell.
Is that their name? I actually don't know their name.
I think so. Oh my gosh! Now you make me doubt myself. It's got to be. Hold on.
Wait, we're actually gonna get DMCA'd because that was too
I'm gonna cut it out. No DMCA on Riot Stream. But yeah, at this point,
it is the Quad City DJs, by the way.
Excellent.
Also known for "Come On and Ride the Train," in case you're curious.
I was.
I don't know that song.
90s kids will remember.
Becca, you were saying?
So where do you guys think he's gonna go with this comp? He has some Chronos, he has some Snipers, he has some Celestial. He actually has just anything, I think.
Oh, he's going Space Pirates!
Is
he's going Space Pirates.
All right.
Yeah, he does have the gold and the health to do it.
The red buff on the Blitzcrank is interesting.
Yeah,
wait, Jinx.
Would you slam a red buff?
Oh. Yeah, it's for Jinx late game.
For Jinx?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And he has the bow. He can turn that into a rapid fire cannon. Yeah, usually with Fourth Space Pirate, you just run Jinx backline because you can play Ziggs because you're Demolitionist with GP. So, wow, this is, I like it. It's a little bit ballsy.
He's going for
it.
Right,
because, if you don't hit the GP, it can be tough. But if there's ever a game to play Space Pirate, when he's been win streaking and getting free Pirate Gold, he's level 7, 67 gold. I actually think this is a pretty smart play. So I'm excited to see how it turns out for him because Space Pirate is probably the strongest thing in the game if you high roll and you hit your GP early enough.
Agreed.
He needs more though. Like he needs to hit that Jace 2 or something, you know? Not having Jace 2 is holding him back a little bit. You know, the thing is, if he finds another Spatula and gets Force of Nature, that's also going to be really big because those extra little side synergies when you're using one of your spots to make Space Pirate work is really valuable.
But he also slammed the ice cream cone or the chalice. Sorry, he slammed the cup.
Yeah,
the cup. So I think Primal's just spot on. The red buff, the cup. You don't tend to build the cup and the red buff together, you know, unless it's for Space Pirates.
True.
Yeah. So at this point, I can't get over how rich he is right now. He has to. If he doesn't hit GP, I think that's kind of unlucky. So at this point, he's looking to just roll down next turn, find that GP, transfer the items over from Darius to GP, and then get the booty, right? Start farming items, and
that's right.
Even the spat can eventually turn into a force of nature just from space pirate items. So I actually like the spot that JUANZI's in.
True. Swapping over to Panda, who's number 2 in our lobby right now. He took a fast 8 in game number 1. But looking to bring it back for the honor of the Korean esports scene, which of course, like we talked about with Bobe, there's a lot of pressure to perform for that region.
Yeah, I don't want to bring it up, but Socks is dangerously low on HP, our NA's last hope.
Yeah,
I
saw that too.
I hope he does well. Yeah.
Sag. But hey, you know what? We haven't seen his board. Maybe he has like 200 gold. About to roll down huge, hit a E3. But yeah, not looking good.
Yeah, you never know
at this point of the game. But Panda,
stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have. Is Panda just playing straight up Battlecast but not reroll? What's going on here?
Yeah, but it's funny because Bobe was also the one playing Battlecast a lot in the first lobby, so maybe Battlecast is really popular on Korean server. Both Korean players.
Yeah.
I didn't notice a ton of it when I was looking at the ladder results, but that's not to say that people aren't playing it in in-house games or anything like that. Who knows what the prep was coming into this from them.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool adaptation of Battlecast because normally you see Battlecast as a reroll build, but the thing is, Cog 2 is super strong. He's pretty much better than Jinx until Jinx is 2 herself. So if you don't want to reroll and you just keep pace with everyone on levels, then you have as many units as they have and you can win streak. And then later in the game, instead of going for Cog 3 necessarily, you just look to add Urgot Victor, or you can even get a Battlecast spat off Carousel. So it's interesting. I think it's a little bit hard to take a first when you play this way. But again, if you're just trying to play for top 4, I think it's a great way to do it. So I love to see how different players from different regions play.
It looks a lot like Brawler Blasters as well, where you've got the 4 Chrono, 4 Brawler transition into Brawler Blaster, which Brawler Blaster we don't see really at all anymore. However, very recently, like within the last couple days, it seems like there's a 6 Chrono build coming up, and it seems like it's maybe a little bit of a meme as well, but in the back of my mind, I kind of am wondering, am I crazy? I'm probably crazy.
You might be crazy, but
I don't know if it's coming up or not. But yeah, I mean, do you think these players are going to pull it out in this tournament?
It's out there.
I think generally when people play 6
I'm playing
Chrono...
to my strengths in this, yeah.
Yeah, so Sock's playing Star Guardians again. Is that just his comp lately, or is it just what he hit again? It's interesting. I actually expected him to play a lot more Master Yi, because that's what he played in the OCNA qualifier, and he did super well with it. But it might just be that he's determined, hey, I think Star Guardians is really good, and I want to play it every game. It's also entirely possible that he's just playing what he hit. But yeah, it's interesting that he's running this in back-to-back games, and he has 2 blue buffs. So I imagine eventually he wants to get that blue buff off of Soraka and onto Janna late game. So if he can make it to that point, the HP's not looking good, but if he can make it to that point, he's going to be super strong.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing there is that he still doesn't have a Nico too, and that's Nico. Cinder is flashy, but when it comes down to it, Nico is your real carry. So if you don't get a Nico too, you're gonna have a bad time with this build.
I'm not gonna lie, I asked Socks what his game plan was coming into today, and his game plan was still to play the brothers, but he said that he hadn't been doing too well with it. So I think he's just adapting to what he gets.
I mean, when you get 4 tiers in one game, you're not going to be playing Blade Master.
Yeah,
so yeah, I think you got to adapt, you know. But
yeah.
it's a little bit rough. I almost get like a little bit tilted if I get 4 tiers because I'm like, no, I only need 2. This isn't set 3. This is 3.5, and blue buff is a unique item. So
Riot.
Yeah, I think wishes he had another Nico 2 or a Nico 2 at all, and a couple items for that, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Also
JUANZI
kind of
did hit the GP. He has the 4 Space Pirates in.
He did. Okay, it's time.
Pretty
It's
early,
time.
pretty early.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch JUANZI again because it is actually so fun watching Space Pirates just stack items. So I'm so down to watch him just win streak off of getting like 30 items to everyone else's 12.
Yeah.
All right.
Huh. So if this were set 4, he'd feel good about slamming that chain vest with the cloak, but we're still in set 3 for now. So might make a Bramble on Nico move that over, but we're gonna swap over to the Space Pirate time. GP2
Not
already?
just GP1.
Wow.
Pog. Okay, well at this point, I mean he's just sitting pretty because he has GP2.
Oh, right.
He should slam an Ionic Spark here for sure on the GP. It's one of the best items on GP and just makes Mystics a non-issue.
You would think so.
But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm gonna put my neck out there and say JUANZI's taking a first off this game. He got the GP on time, plenty of HP. He has items to spare. It's really tough.
Look at
to
the
deal
items
with
on his
GP at this
bench.
point. Yeah, like he has a Giant Slayer and an Ionic Spark sitting on the bench, and he hit a Force of Nature off of that stat we saw him take earlier. So JUANZI's sitting.
What do you think he's saving? What do you think he's saving for? Why not slam that Ionic Spark right now?
Maybe he wants a death cap because he doesn't think he needs the magic resist reduction if no one's really running Mystic. That's the only thing I can think of, though. But it's kind of weird to wait that long because you don't know if you're going to hit a rod, right? Because we're in stage 5 too. So it's possible.
That's weird.
I mean, I think with your GP2, you're just sitting pretty, and you're just like, okay, well, if I can get the perfect items, like the most damage I can, I would go for it. But wouldn't you slam the Giant Slayer on Jinx?
I was about to say, yeah, that's one I would build for sure. Is Giant Slayer on Jinx right now?
I wonder what he's waiting for.
Yeah.
So
with
good.
those items.
Maybe consider like a Dragon Claw on Jace.
Boom.
As well.
Okay, he got
Does it-
the rod. He got another rod.
Oh wow, look at that! So
well, there you go.
Just hit. He's waiting to
The
just
boom
hit.
came in too late though.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Socks hanging in there. Our guy is clear bias, but whatever. Our guy he's gone from second to last to top 4 position, and he does have good damage items for late game. I'm a little concerned about his lack of a belt for Nico. Like he doesn't have any belt items from what I saw, so that could hold them back. But it looks like he's stabilized quite a bit, and hit Syndra too.
Right. That is kind of the problem where you need that Nico too to succeed. And even with subpar items, you can still maybe get a top 4 with it. So see what he's able to accomplish. So is he going to build the Giant Slayer now? I was going to say.
Please build it.
Why not?
Okay, now the boom.
Why not build that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Big boom.
Oh my God,
the
he has 2
second
strikes.
strike.
Oh no, it's over. Oh, it's over. He's
Now
so
he definitely
strong.
has the Ionic Spark as well. I think
Yeah.
it was just...
Yeah.
What is he waiting for?
I guess he just makes it on Jace or something, or even Wukong.
He's
a pirate.
He's playing the Space Pirate lore build where he's just like collecting all the treasure, man. He's not even spending it. He's going full Space Pirate here.
Exodia.
He's RPing now.
So at this point, do you think there's anyone who can beat JUANZI, Becca? Do you think anyone can how do you beat him at this point?
I don't know, dude. I rarely get to play Space Pirates. I usually just int my way into Space Pirates. So you tell me, what's he gonna do now? Well, who can beat Space Pirates?
Well, someone could DDoS him. That's one possibility. But outside of that, I think a good Zephyr on GP or a good Shroud is probably the best way to do it. You can see JUANZI's constantly moving his GP just 1 hex to the left or right because he knows that people typically put Zephyr directly in the middle. JUANZI knows his win condition is just let GP carry. He has upgrades. But I would say if there's anything that can beat him, it's a good Zephyr with some luck.
All right, finally decided to dedicate those items and tosses Zephyr down, hits the Victor. Pretty good shot, although you don't get the Cinder with that. This build is looking super strong, though. Yep, came back. That GA, though.
Never mind.
Oh, the double cloak.
How many cloaks how many Dragon's Claw can one pirate ship hold?
Right. No, Dragon's Claw, it's pretty good here, actually. I guess he needs it. I think that later in the game, there's always plenty of magic damage. So, although no one likes to get cloaks early, getting cloaks late, if you get 2 of them, it's not bad. And plus, if he doesn't like the cloaks, he could just make more items because he's playing Space Pirate. So, feels good.
I really like that he's putting, he's spreading the items around a little bit more now, where like putting the Dragon's Claw on Master Yi makes a lot of sense because that just makes Master Yi very durable. And so he's basically just doing things that will give him more consistent damage each round, which is important.
Yeah, he's just waiting on the Aurelian Soul now, once he gets to 9.
Pretty much, yeah.
What do you guys think he's going to put in on at 9? Besides the Ace Soul, which is just going to replace the Master Yi?
Oh, is he going to lose?
Oh.
Ooh, he bleeds.
Wow, okay. All right,
so
Panda looking pretty strong.
Yeah, Panda looking good. Panda is 9, to be fair, to JUANZI, and JUANZI has like 50 gold to spend. But yeah, I think at 9, I don't recall if he already had the Ace Soul, but Ace Soul is definitely a great unit to put in at 9, especially with Space Pirates. You can get good items for Ace Soul because you have excess items. Right. Oh, Panda already has 3 of them, so it might be a little bit hard to hit, but we'll see. Thresh with a bench is also just fine to sort of top it off, and you can get Mana Reaver in conjunction with the Darius. So those I would say are probably the 2 best options. But I think any 5 cost he can make a 2-star would be good at this point.
Yeah, props to Panda for making this board work. You don't see as many Brawler Blaster builds these days, but great items on the Jinx, and he does have that Aurelian Soul 2 already, so he has ways to really kind of make this work. Although I think he would have preferred that Kayn gave him something a little bit more useful for Aurelian Soul.
Yeah. Can we talk about the elephant in the room? Cupiditas, 77 HP.
Big elephant.
Yeah. Big elephant.
Oh, double.
Yeah, Cupiditas from Argentina, wrecking everybody. Like I mentioned earlier, unfortunately we're not able to take his view for this, but I'm sure we're going to see some of his rounds later if he just never dies.
It's kind of cool. We can like see, he's kind of like a final boss, right? Because we can only see him through the eyes of the people who get vanquished, right? So that's kind of cool, actually.
Yep.
But he's definitely having a good game.
I think we mentioned this in another cast, but he's like Giovanni with like this just the character outline that we like kind of get to see glimpses of. Actually get to see.
Love it. Is that a Pokemon reference? That's Giovanni, right?
Yeah, that's Giovanni. Who
yeah,
else?
okay, just making sure. Yeah. It's been too long.
Oh, the
it's
TFT.
so long.
It's that 4 designer Giovanni.
Yeah. So one thing with Cupiditas, he did talk with some of our crack research team before the series, and he says, as we see Socks get knocked out at 5th, ouch, he did say that he only plays around 6 games a day. So he's another one of those players that prefers to do a lot of research and studying over just spamming games. Interesting note.
These are not the players.
Cupiditas, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
These are not the players that Riot wants winning, because they convince everyone I need to play less TFT, right? So
well, if you're a pro, sure, it's fun to study. If you're like the average, like casual on the ladder, then just spam that ladder, just have a good time, you know.
And just end, yeah.
That's me. I love inting on ladder all day.
Same.
Well,
yeah, I'm
not literally inting, by the way.
I think inting's just a catch-all term now for losing, right?
It pretty much is, yeah.
Oh
no,
I think we see Panda. Yeah, Panda's starting to fall off hard. It's kind of hard to play Jinx. I think at this point you just say, look, I hit top 4 playing Jinx and with no GP. That's a victory. We take those, and you just move on to the next lobby. It's really hard to get any stronger if you don't get the Gangplank. And the Jinx items even aren't amazing. I think a Giant Slayer is slightly better here than a Runon's Hurricane. So I think this is actually just he played well what he was given. It was uncontested, so he hit his units on time, and he takes a top 4. So that's a really respectable result.
Yeah, and after an 8th in game number 1, you need something, right? If he can sneak a 3rd out of this somehow, that'll be even better. But playing against JUANZI, it's going to be very difficult for him.
Yeah, JUANZI has the Protector Acel, which everyone knows is very strong, and he got the Urgot in as well. He has so many slots in his board. It's just hard to beat him.
Yep. Panda going to be sent home, or sent out of the game, rather, at least, in 4th place here. Getting a few points anyway. And now going to jump back on board with JUANZI to see if he can close out this game. CUPIDITAS has been losing some HP, so it's possible.
Oh my god.
He
Even
has-
got a Morello's for
Double
an insult.
GP2? What?
Double GPT with double GA.
Wow.
Not bad.
That is obscene. I want to see the GP3. Let's do it. Game's probably not going to
That-
last long enough, but I can dream, right?
That would be hype.
There was a
would
GP on
be
the carousel, but he didn't go for it, so he's definitely not thinking about it.
Well, so you can see what hurt Panda a little bit as well, because we know now where 6 of the gangplanks were.
That is actually,
he
yeah,
definitely
I
wasn't
didn't
gonna
even
find
realize
any.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, wait a second. He has a Nico, so he only needs 2 more GPs. It's possible. It's definitely possible.
But he
I don't
didn't
think
go
he's gonna
for
go
it. There
for
was a GP on the carousel. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he wanted it, he would have gone for it. Oh,
Morello's on
he didn't
ASOL
get
is just
the-
so good, though. You
he
can't
didn't
ignore
get the
that.
cup buff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Alright,
he's
well.
trying to win the tournament or something,
Okay.
so he's not going for
Yeah.
it. But,
Weird.
How dare he?
Oh,
Yeah, but-
another spatula. It's just he's just
alright.
so strong.
yeah.
Hey, want
I
to
think
make
at
another
this point,
protector?
We're just watching fireworks at this point. I think this is
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think
give
this
us
is
a
foregone
double
conclusion.
GP shop.
This is
Come on.
seriously right. This is the victory lap, I think, for Aurelian Soul 2. There you go, victory lap for JUANZI
Yeah.
at this point, especially with that ASOL 2 now.
This
When
is
you're
the
so
dream.
strong,
To high
you
roll
can just, yeah.
this strong, yeah, in a tournament.
At
Yeah, at
Worlds.
Worlds.
Yeah, amazing.
He's got 2 like fully kitted out GPs, basically. You could even build a trap claw on the other gangplank. Why not? It's just, it feels so excessive. Like, he's just gone. He's like, yeah, I'm just done with this game. I thought he was gonna walk away for a second there.
Oh. And he Zephyred the Vayne also to add insult to injury. So really, really dominant performance from JUANZI.
Oh, he
really
did walk
impressive
away.
with
He
that.
walked away
Oh
before
man, swag, swag! I
And the
love that.
walk-off final round.
Oh man, the sauce is on display from JUANZI. I love it.
I mean,
I like this guy. All right, I'm
Yeah.
he walked
I'm
away
down.
before the match ended.
That was such a flex. I love it.
He's like, it's a pirate's life for me, right? Let me brush this extra gold off of my my pirate coat here.
He should have
Oops, I
just
hit my
made like a
parrot, but it's
random
okay.
dark star spot because he could.
Just cause he could, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That was like a treasure trove of its own. Like I'm telling you, we talked about it early on. It seemed like he was playing. Seems like he was playing Big Bang, and everyone else is just playing normal Galaxy.
Yeah, right.
You know
So-
Yep.
he's just there's that thing when they like walk away from the bomb and then they're just like, I can't think of the saying. Okay, never mind. I gave up.
Cool guys don't look at explosions. Is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Thank you.
How about a free force of nature? How about that? He got that earlier in the map.
Yeah. So I think
As he,
you know, JUANZI, he's had 2 really good games. The first one was very high rolly. This one I actually don't think was a huge high roll. I think he actually just played super clean. He got that Darius early. He positioned really well with a Hand of Justice. He actually didn't even hit Ionic Spark that early. So what he did is just use his huge Pirate Gold advantage to guarantee that he could go 8, hit the GP safely. And when you hit GP on time and you already have good items for him, that's how you win games with Space Pirate.
Wow, I love it. I'm with Becca. Like I'm too afraid to play Space Pirates. Where I'm like I'm not good enough player to do this. I never high roll enough. But then I see games like this and I'm like maybe there's still a chance. But
Dude, he took
then
a sip of his
yeah.
water, got up, he was just ready to
Swag.
I think that's
Stay
just a legendary
hydrated.
clip in TFT at this point.
That was.
All right, well that's gonna do it for me for the moment. I'm gonna sit this next game out. I gotta recover from that one, but you guys have fun, okay?
I'm actually out of here too.
I
that was
think
a
I'm
great
also
game
leaving
for me
too.
to peace out on. So I think we're all leaving, and we're just gonna swap.
No,
in a new
Becca's
fresh set
staying
of
around.
casters.
Oh, I am?
Oh.
Just me and Primal are out. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
There you
have
go,
checked
so-
out after that. My bad. Alright.
All
Later.
right, we'll see you guys later.
peace out to the two fellas. Yeah, Becca, you're going to hang around for another game, and we're bringing Crowan in as well. Man, I don't think any of us were expecting to see full-blown space pirates here. I know, Becca, you were just watching it moments ago on the cast, but Crowan, I'm sure you were watching the comfort of your own home. Did you expect that at all?
Oh no, did not expect that, but JUANZI playing game 1 and 2 super well. You know, maybe you could say it's a bit of high roll game 1, but that game 2 was just so impressive, and Space Pirates getting a win isn't what we see all the time. We saw earlier on in the day Space Pirates kind of lower a little bit, get a bottom 4, but we saw the other end of that right there with JUANZI.
Did you expect that, Crowan? Did you expect such a high roll game?
Oh no, not at all. But it's good to see stuff like that though, because it shows, you know, players who can utilize that very well. Some players will high roll, but not, you know, accelerate that to a first place all the time. But we saw how JUANZI did that so effectively.
We talked about the fact that players, you know, you want to research going into a match. Crowan, I know you do that all the time, but what is the help of researching if you're going against someone like JUANZI who's just going to play something different every time anyway, depending on what happens in the lobby? But kind of a side effect of that, we actually saw Panda, while finishing better this time, did make it into the top 4. He was looking for the gangplank, wasn't able to find it, was also looking for Syndra's in game number 1 and wasn't able to find it, ended up exiting 8th. Becca, when you're in that position and you find kind of that similar situation twice in a row where what you're expecting to get is being taken by another player, what kind of level of frustration does that add to you, since it feels a bit more out of your hands?
You're asking me, and my name includes the word tilt in it. I'm definitely tilting out of my mind. You think I'm sane during this, like with everything on the line? But I mean, I'm sure these players are good enough to like maintain their composure and know that they have just as good of a chance to keep going.
Becca's tilt factor is so strong that if other players are tilting, she feels it.
Yeah, I do the second head tilt.
The empathy is real here.
We get Big Bang. The first Galaxy. The first time we're seeing it.
I've never seen it! I'm excited. I'm actually super excited.
Oh, man. Okay, I actually want to bring up a point really quick. I was speaking with MISMATCHEDSOCKS a little bit a couple of days ago on his thoughts about coming into this tournament with a new Galaxy, and he was kind of concerned about being able to adapt and didn't really like, you know, the thought of playing with a new Galaxy in this specific tournament. So it'd be interesting to see how SOCKS places with that in mind. He's had, you know, he had a decent placement in game number 1, I believe got 3rd, and then, you know, barely missed out on top 4 last game with a 5th place, but still he's in a solid spot to be able to you know, move on to tomorrow if he continues playing well. So really curious to see how SOCKS will play this game out.
As you just saw on your screen, for everyone that may not be familiar with Big Bang, being that this is the Galaxy that was added specifically for 10.18, it's basically a combination of previous Galaxies all in one. You get a free reroll each round, there's loot orbs dropping from minions and monsters, you get a Force of Nature. And while this means a lot of extra resources, sometimes that can be a bit stressful almost. We see that happen in cases where you get overloaded with items. So I'm curious as to if you both were competing here today, obviously not having played in Big Bang before. What do you think some of the challenges are going to be, being that some of the players do seem concerned that they're going to be unable to adapt to this new Galaxy?
Crowan?
Yeah, so I think I heard a very smart approach from some of the players about how to, you know, how to approach this Galaxy, which is treat it basically like Trade Sector, because that's how the pacing of the game is going to be. You're rerolling early, you know, finding a bunch of units. We see MISMATCHEDSOCKS here having a bunch of Jarvans and Zayas, might go Blade Masters, but anyway, you're just going to have to be able to adapt to itemizing more units. Like, you're going to be able to itemize a tank and a couple of damage units as opposed to just going 2 damage units or 1 damage unit and 1 tank. Getting that free Force in Nature, you're going to have oh my
sorry.
Yeah, no,
so
that's
sorry,
a wonderful interjection, because SOCKS is definitely going to be able to go BMs and itemize multiple carries, which he likes doing anyway with Blade Masters. We know that he likes going, you know, that Master Yi composition and likes to itemize the secondary one from there. So just super excited. We're going to be able to get a Force of Nature as well, so you'll be able to hit that 6 BM power spike even earlier, even going as far as to slam that Giant Slayer right now. SOCKS definitely has a game plan in mind here.
Oh, you do love to see it. I mean, when we had a trade sector match earlier, we saw what the impact of Shredder Zaya can have, and I heard y'all talking in the cast about the reasoning for why she's fallen off, not necessarily because of the unit, but maybe some of the bag sizes when more single cost units have been added in. But now that we're in this galaxy where you get those rerolls, a lot of these resources available to you, you could see that. And Becca, I know you've talked about how Sox loves the Blade Masters, even though during the qualifier he did have to pivot there a bit in the end.
Mm-hmm. And he gets another Zaya. It's Blade Masters, not the Blade Masters he's used to or wants to play. But
Sox
didn't we see someone win with Shredder today already?
Yeah,
we
first
did.
with it. Yeah. All right, let's go, NA. This is it.
I think that was Shoemaker from Lobby 1 who did end up winning a game with those 6 BMs and that Zaya. And we're on round 2-2, and Sox already has 7 Zayas. Like on trade sector, he's going to hit maybe even before the Terra Bursters or the Krugs round.
Oh yeah, Terra Bursters.
Yeah, the official name for it. Little known fact, and it's actually called Terra Bursters.
Very little known. Okay. So like I said, I was super surprised that the reroll Zaya won in that first lobby, because I think she was against Teemo 3. So I hope Sox can recreate that, just because I'm showing a lot of bias here as an NA caster for an NA player. But I don't know. I personally have not had too much success with Zaya reroll in the late game.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what he had with the Zaya when we saw it earlier, because I think he was working towards a few 3-stars too. I believe the Shen was also pretty tanky in the front and was taking a lot of that damage, and the Zaya just wasn't getting accessed as much, so she was able to just get those single target removals over time.
I think Shoemaker also had an Aurelia infiltrator in that comp, so I can see it being very strong.
Yeah.
Think we'll see an infiltrator Jinx again today.
Maybe so. An interesting decision there. But going back to Sox here, I actually chose to sell the Shen pair in favor of making Econ, so wants to get up to 30. I think Sox is one of the players, if not the player, who kind of originated the slow rolling technique instead of hyper rolling. I know he definitely favors that, so wants to get up to 50 gold as quickly as possible. And also another quick point, I wanted to sort of play devil's advocate with you, Becky, showing obviously the NA bias, and I want Sox to do well, obviously as well, being an NA caster. But I think we have seen so much strength so far with a couple of games of JUANZI. I wouldn't be surprised if JUANZI, very clearly is a dominant force in making it to day 2. But also, I'm curious to, in the future, check out KC Double, because comparing him to Sox specifically, Sox spends the vast majority of his time playing TFT. He very rarely, if ever, watches or researches the game outside of just playing. But KC Double is a player who spends 70%. That is what he told me, at least. I don't know if that's yeah, it is. So if that's misinformation, Sox baiting me, then so be it.
Mismatched information.
Yeah. Mismatched information, perhaps. Perhaps I'm not baited.
He's trying to bait everybody. Yeah, he's like, no,
I
this
actually
is what you got to do.
It's a 5-head play where he's trying to throw us both off so that whatever we say on the cast doesn't jinx him. But I remember him telling me that he does he does enjoy watching other regions play, and that he respects a lot of the other regions and tries to learn off of them.
Yeah,
but that was a hell bug.
It's a good strategy, just in the sense of being able to, not necessarily because you think another region is better, but because if they're doing something different that you weren't thinking, it's always great to open up those possibilities.
Yeah. So he did, like Krun was saying, he did. So I think when there was a big question about whether or not hyper rolling was better than slow rolling, Sox was the one that came out with a bunch of information, like saying that he did the math and calculated that at a certain point, slow rolling is so much better than hyper rolling, while hyper rolling is really good in certain situations. So he did definitely put out a lot of info for players in deciding what they're gonna do.
Crowan, when you asked Sox and he told you that he mostly plays, did you take that to heart and start pivoting away from research, or did you think, I'm gonna stick with my ways?
I mean, he only told me a couple days ago. I guess I just bring that up to kind of compare the two playstyles. If assuming that what Socks told me is correct, maybe it is not. But assuming that is how he approaches the game, a player like Casey Double, dedicating 70% of time to researching, like 30% of time to playing the game, shows how both playstyles can be viable. It just comes down to what works for you and what your personal preference is. And I think that's so fascinating from a competitor's standpoint that there is a game like this in TFT that you can approach it so differently and to still have very same results. These players are the 0.0001% of the world making it to this finals world stage here.
I agree. This is one of the only games I feel like you can say that in current esports, the current esports landscapes.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I don't know, if y'all remember back in school and they're like, you're a kinetic learner, or like all of those different things. Like you learn by doing, you learn by reading and all of that. I feel like with TFT, you can kind of lean into whatever works best for you. Do you learn by practicing and getting the reps in, or by watching those that have done so a lot? But we are here towards the end of the second stage. People are starting to lock in a bit more to some of the comps.
Yep.
Have either of you guys gotten the chance to play on Big Bang yet?
No.
Personally, I have not.
Sadly.
So this is the first time I'm seeing Big Bang as well.
Yeah, I haven't gotten
first time,
yet.
First time even seeing Big Bang, to be honest.
I wonder who that's the case for in Game 2, because it's not necessarily a matter of reps to get it, it's just, did you get it?
Yeah. I mean, with it being, not introduced until very recently, maybe some of these players haven't, or at least I've only gotten a couple of games on it, so maybe their style isn't going to be quite as solidified here going into this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Did you see
and it does.
What, oh yeah, sorry.
Oh no, I was actually just about to ask you about, because we're getting to see some of the differences that come through the Galaxy, like the 3-star Leona with the Ionic Spark. But do you think that is just because you're rolling into it more? Might as well get these that you don't normally prioritize?
Yeah, he is just picking them up because I think he's naturally rolling them. But you saw him make the decision. First, he had the Blitzcrank in for the Chrono buff, and then he switched it out for the TF because then he had the possibility of making interest, because Blitzcrank is obviously worth 2 gold and TF is worth 1. And then instead he just ended up selling the Vi, which I think Crowan and I were talking about earlier, how we would probably always sell the Vi even if we're playing Cybernetics just for the eco. And it was interesting because he lost his streak of 3, which isn't that big, in order to maintain eco. But it's not like the Vi was going to save him in that board. So and it's just a series of a lot of decisions. I'm kind of just rambling because I'm thinking about how I would play. So I'm sorry, but it was interesting seeing how he thought through what he was going to play in that round. Protect the streak, don't protect the streak, etc.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love hearing you kind of talking through that process of making these decisions, because it's a lot more deep than just deciding to click one thing compared to the other, right? And there's not necessarily one direct path that is correct. But the decisions you make sure do stack up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we see an Ash. So snipers in general, we did see some Teemo earlier. I don't think we've seen a lot of Astro snipers as a pairing yet today, despite it being popular generally speaking. But there were some Ash arrows during the last couple games that were very key in getting that CC. And before us here, it is a return to the Brawlers. And yeah, those Brawler Blasters that we saw during the last game, talking about the fact that it's not a very common composition that you come into, because the itemization can be difficult, especially if you don't run into those later game units. But for this time being, especially with a little bit of Cybernetic online too, and 2-star Ezreal ends up getting locked by the Blitz, pulled into the back. But a lot of these units that aren't always prioritized to get rolled into, clearly a result of the Galaxy that we're in.
Mm-hmm. I'm honestly kind of at a loss. I'm just trying to keep up with everything that's going on in the game. People have much stronger boards than you would expect at this point in the game in any other Galaxy. And yeah, I haven't seen it, so I'm just kind of engrossed.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably one of the most difficult things I would imagine with the Big Bang Galaxy, is what you're used to checking when you're scouting and what you're used to trying to think would happen at certain points within the match isn't going to be accurate. Like we've seen, for instance, how important that positioning is to get your Shaco to hit the right unit right in past games. But if there's multiple units just kind of across the board because everyone's getting these items, everyone's leveling up these units, it becomes more difficult to figure out which exact target you should be targeting. And some of the items that are meant to do those, like Zephyrs and things, may even lose value because of that as we get later into the game and these boards are just so dense throughout.
So I think when they were scouting, we saw Sox hit the Zaya 3, and he went for the belt on the carousel, maybe to make a Hormox for his Jarvan. Oh man, there's actually so much going on. I actually want to play on the live servers as soon as it's over to try to play this Galaxy.
Yeah, this Galaxy is really shaking things up, and it's
it's so
really,
fast-paced.
really cool to see. Yeah,
it's not just
like,
fast-paced; it's like extra ultra fast-paced.
Oh, agree. Because Trade Sector, Jarvan 3 as well by Panda there. Trade Sector not only makes it even more fast-paced because you're going to be spending a lot of gold buying, but then you get a bunch of gold and item drops from it being treasure trove as well. So it's just so much going on. I definitely agree with your sentiment there.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to keep up.
It feels like, how usually when someone's scouting and it's a couple rounds or so, there's not much change between when you see that person the next. Maybe you'll catch it on the side if they get that single 3-star or something, right? But here it feels like every time we click onto someone else's board, it looks completely different than it did the last time because of everything that rolling into. We have to take 20 seconds just to look at it and be like, all right, what did you do now? Who
For sure.
So
They're
much.
like briefly panning over when they're scouting, and I'm just like, gold unit, something. Like everything is so strong.
Yeah, even here too with SLOOPER having the battle cast spat and 6 battle cast
Yeah,
already. That force of
Battlecast
nature
spat.
is like so key to have all this in right now.
Oh my god. I think he just has to rush to find the Urgot now. Get in 8 battle cast if he can. Well, I hope he finds another battle cast spat at least.
Yeah,
It'd be fun to see 8.
It's treasure trove, so the chance of getting a
It is
spatula is going to be
treasure
higher
trove.
than usual. Yeah,
It is everything, Crowlin.
It is.
I'm so confused.
It is everything
man.
and your mama and your daddy and it's just all jammed
Exactly.
into a single galaxy. I feel like we went into one of those shows where there's multiple dimensions and they've just collapsed upon each other and now we're caught in the middle.
And look at the Kog'Maw items, they're just perfect. Oh.
Yeah, he had those on he was holding it on the Blitz too for a while, so it's so good. Just that forward thinking, being able to build those items as you're getting them so rapidly, having a feeling of where your comp may be going.
Yeah, and is 1 Graves, 1 Nocturne away from tier 3ing those is a little bit far away from the Kog'Maw, but with all the other tier 3 potential, like there's no wonder that SLOOPER is on a win streak now, and if he hits those other ones, he'll probably keep win streaking for a while after that as well.
It is cool to get to see Battlecast because we don't get to see it very often. I believe in the EU qualifier, Solo Gasang got to the final rounds running mostly Battlecast, and then it didn't work out for him, and he ended up getting 8th, I believe, to miss coming to this World Championship. But it's like when it works, it works. It's just it seems like it needs something like a big bang to really make it more viable.
Yeah, he's level 7 now. 4-1, level 7, has all his 1 costs upgraded. I guess he didn't get the Graves, but I don't think it's that big of a deal from here.
Has a Nico, considered Nicoing the Graves actually, and
Okay,
does it right there. So 4 tier 3 units while being on stage 4-1, level 750 gold. You will never see this unless you're on Big Bang Galaxy.
And that's also the nice result when you're having those lower cost units being a part of this comp. He's able to get these spikes earlier because some others are working into it too, but they're having a lot of 4 cost, 3 costs that they're eventually going to lean on for that carry potential. So not spending as much in those early stages. But right now, there is no worry from SLOOPER when he's got this strong of a board to be able to go into it. 5 streak for him right now at 65 HP.
Yeah.
And I was really excited because I think during that last PvE round, he got 2 golden orbs, so I thought he was going to get the spatula for the extra Battlecast
I was
stat,
hoping.
but it was just a bunch of gold.
Gold's still good, though.
I don't get to see too many 8 Battlecast games because it does require 2 Battlecast spatulas. It's a lot harder to get. But I feel like whenever I do see it, it does really well. So I'm excited. He has a lot of gold. He's in a good spot. I want to see how he... If he doesn't get 8, I want to see how he does the late game. If 6 is enough. If 6 Battlecasts is enough.
Yeah, it looks like from here that 6 Battlecast could be enough, but there's always the... You know, when you hit that 8 Battlecast, that's going to be winning the lobby. When you don't get 8, or like you're stuck on 4 or 6, that's when it becomes to be a little bit more, it could go either way, I suppose you could say. Like, you could bot 4, or you could maybe win the lobby. It depends on how strong other people are at that point. But 8 definitely is probably a win.
Yeah.
Would be a great thing to see right now. He is deciding to level up Tate. He's built such a great econ for himself at this point, like we said, with a lot of these lower units being prioritized.
So he's bringing the Sork buff. There's a lot of magic damage on here.
Yeah.
He just really wants the Urgot at this point, no?
Yeah. Doesn't desperately need the Urgot.
Yeah, because of the spat, you're right.
Yeah. So it doesn't desperately need it, but it still would be nice to have as a strong unit. I was actually going to ask you, Becca, like, where do you think that you go from this position? What do you look to add in? Well, let's say, assuming that you don't get 8 Battlecast, what's going to be like your level 9 play with 10 units in?
I mean, I guess you don't find yourself in this situation too often as a
No,
player.
you don't, so...
I think if you don't hit the 8th Battlecast spot, you just go with the legendary units, right? Like an Asol or a Thresh, always strong. Anything that will, like, 100% no doubt improve your board, which I think are just like, yeah, those units that can always fit in your comp. Asol, Thresh, even Janna, improve your attack speed. Seems good. Oh, you could also put in like an Echo. Yeah. The Echo for the Infiltrator buff.
Yeah, definitely.
Depending on the lobby, yeah.
Yeah, we talked a bit about that earlier. It's like, what units to put in that BM composition ended up being a Thresh that pulled in the Urgot, which killed a tier 3 Teemo. So Thresh still being one of those units that you're going to want to go into. If you're not chasing like an 8-piece synergy like Slooper might be doing here.
Yeah, I think the Thresh Urgot combo is probably the best combo in set 3.
Oh yeah.
My mind.
Even after getting nerfed, it's still like super good. And it was, oh man, when Urgot was first introduced, it was oppressive to say the least.
Yeah, it was like a pseudo Phantom synergy.
Oh god, don't remind me Phantom. Curse words in TFT.
Bringing us back to them days. But yeah, those 5 costs, I mean, they're designed for their abilities to be impactful enough where you'll consider putting them in regardless of your synergy. And Thresh is just one of those that fully takes advantage of it. You find him, especially if he's working into Monoreaver, adding that Chrono, and you think, let me give you that advantage of those abilities without you actually having to waste a spot for it. Cog does lots of damage at this point.
Actually was so clutch by the Nocturne there, getting the fear off onto the Xayah, which I think was the reason that MISMATCHEDSOCKS lost that round. If that Nocturne wasn't positioned specifically as so, it would have gone the other way there.
Yeah, I think that was purposeful, right? He put that Nocturne on the side. You tend to put the Infiltrators in the middle if you're not completely sure where you want him to go. Really good positioning, scouting from Slooper.
Yeah, doing it again here too, making sure he's on top of which matchups he's going to face and how to position accordingly. Going to move the Cogmod whichever side, going to move the Nocturne as well. While deciding that left is the best, so keeping the Nocturne there for this fight and gets rewarded. Like the Nocturne's going to jump towards that Kaelin in the vein.
He is really fast also. He moves his whole board really quickly.
And on 150 ping too, like that's not easy to be able to do. But really, shout outs to Slooper for able to being on top of that, and is going to continue the win streak now at 9 because of that.
This win streak is going so well for him. It's not just by a few units in most of these cases too. And I mean, of course, when you have the cases like he was able to get that Xayah pretty immediately, and that you're going to have more units surviving. But it's nice to hit this hard because he's still at 65 HP at the top. Everybody is in, but CUPIDITAS at the bottom at 8. So that spread is starting to get much more distinct from top to bottom.
Yeah, Socks and CUPIDITAS in danger of getting knocked out. One really bad loss for Socks can just end it end this round for him.
Yeah. Maybe those Blade Masters aren't quite as good as he was hoping. I mean, he did say that he wasn't as comfortable with Blade Masters recently, so maybe that's kind of coming to fruition here.
Okay, that's a lot of items. It's another Morello.
We are
a Morello.
just checking into everybody that's watching, trying to track who's doing what so far in this lobby. We have JUANZI, CUPIDITAS, MISMATCHEDSOCKS, and SLOOPER currently slotted in those top 4 spots, but it's pretty close in points, obviously, with only 2 lobbies done. So MISMATCHEDSOCKS being, let's see, he has 10 points to his name right now, probably hoping to get more towards that middle line and not knocked out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Socks does have the 6 Blade Masters in. He is level 9, but does not have the upgrades on some of his forecast units. I think this fight looks good for him. Rakan got a clutch ult off onto the Bane.
Yeah, I think it was a Rakan diff there.
Oh, really, really big
Oh,
Rakan
wait.
diff. Oh my goodness.
That actually ended up being close in the end. The burn damage from the red buff on the Lucian, but Xayah didn't really have any interruption there. I feel like the Lulu's also been getting some pretty good polymorphs in some of these cases.
Yeah.
So who is he going to take out here? Because I think he wants to put in the Thresh with the Urgot on the bench, so he's taking out the Mystic buff.
Yeah, I think that's correct here. I think taking out the Lulu at this point. Yeah, Mana Reaver is just so good. You don't really need Mystic unless you're going up against... oh, wait a minute. Was that intentional from Socks there?
I missed it. What was it?
He took the Karma 2 out, again, you know, not needing Mystic, and the Urgot went in just because there's on the left side of the bench. And wow, Socks actually falls there to exact lethal. Wow, 8th place here. Oh, not 8th. Okay, 7th.
Wow, by 1
Yeah.
Oh, he got barely saved to be pushed up into that 7th spot, but that's not the finish when you're kind of narrowly in that top 4 right now, right? Yeah, that's the kind of thing that can easily knock you down. Just gonna have to wait to see how the rest of them do. Maybe you almost hope that JUANZI just keeps winning. If he's going to qualify to tomorrow anyway, just unless you're not going to get the points, just hope that he takes it so other people can't pass you. It's okay if he's just way ahead of everybody in the end.
That's true. Okay, the Urgot got a pretty big ult on a super tanky unit for ALPHAGO. Yeah.
Oh. These fights are so close.
Oh. Yeah, these are really close fights.
Oh, man. Maybe that's just what happens in Big Bang. Everyone's just so strong that the fights are just so explosive and so close.
They're so strong in different ways. There's a lot of different comps being run here. It seems like a lot kind of dictated into what they were rolling into in this kind of Galaxy. Maybe when there's so many more unknown factors, right? Trying to listen a bit more in tune to what's giving you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
ALPHAGO grabbing that Hand of Justice there. JUANZI is one of the only player to be on a win streak right now with that mech. So seeing a little bit of prominence there. I wonder if mech could win another lobby. We did see it win once, right? But there was some concern if it can consistently do that.
It worked out for him once. Maybe it'll work out for him again. Currently 5 in this lobby. Panda is also one of the ones that has been struggling towards the bottom with some of his comps. He's been having to share a lot of resources with others, and to keep himself in this, he really needs at least a top 4 finish here. Not exactly sure of the exact points, being that we are only in game 3 of 5, but it's starting to get to that point where another poor performance could pretty much lock him out.
Okay, so you saw ALPHAGO just move his Thresh forward, even though his Thresh had the Zephyr. If his Thresh pulls forward the Urgot and it hits the mech, it's more likely to hit it if it's that close. But I think it was a little too close to the mech. Obviously, he still got the Urgot in, but would you guys have put the Thresh that close in range of the mech so that he might just die before ulting?
Yeah, I think second row is the sweet spot there.
Yeah.
Maybe wanted to Zephyr a specific unit, so he put the Thresh there. Yeah, for another player perhaps, but if you're going to just go into that with the intention of eating the mech with the Urgot, I'm pretty sure always second row.
So he has 4 Cybers in with his he has Cyberzin with 4 chrono and 2 fawns.
Oh man.
He has 11 units in casual.
You know, no big deal. Nothing whatsoever. So he ends up putting the Zephyr on, waiting to see the positioning.
Ooh. Hits the Lucian. Isn't a great hit there, but better than nothing.
Yeah, still somebody in the back. Vi does luckily lock down the carry enough for Finn to be able to follow up with the damage. Double 61 gets a heavy hit.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just so strong there. The 4 chronos is doing great, and Panda barely hangs on there as well, taking out JUANZI that round.
It's pretty close, top
barely.
6.
Yeah,
top 5
is
interesting.
Well, the double IE jeweled gauntlet.
Yeah. Oh man, it's always I mean, it's so fascinating to see what items that you do get when you're on, Big Bang here, but Treasure Trove usually with a triple item cane around. Do you have units that these items can go on, like another Hand of Justice for Irelia, perhaps? Oh, actually, it works out really well. The Runans and the Disarm for Lucian has Blaster, so it can not only spread Disarm, but spread that rep buff as well. These are kind of like, not like perfect best case scenario, but this is pretty dang good for ALPHAGO.
Yeah, there's a lot of situations where you would just be bummed to see the Disarm, and I think this is where you can say, all right, you know what?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm okay with this. Yeah. And he's doing exactly that. The Lucian has been... I believe somebody else was running Lucian too, correct?
There's another cyber player.
Yeah.
But yeah, he took out the Fiora, kept in the Lucian just because the items are so good, and he has Blaster buff in with the Chronos.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good because if you disarm the Meg, it's so good. The Meg does so
he
much
doesn't have
damage.
Blade Master anyway though. Like there's no Riven or Shen in here, so getting rid of the Fiora I think is the perfect move.
Just the lockdown with the Echo. Alright, yeah, it's looking pretty good. You just have one last big heavy item holding unit left. And SLOOPER does take a hit here. We are going to be tuning into what he's got on the table. It's top 4 now. Double 61 has been knocked out.
Alright. SLOOPER is playing the Battlecast still with 6.
Oh yeah.
Oh?
Unfortunately, double 61. Would have thought he would have gotten into the top 4, but unfortunately barely misses out on that here. But the lobby is kind of shaping itself up for the end of the road here in this game number 3. Panda finding that Jin 2, checking back in with SLOOPER with those battlecasts. Was not able to make it to 8 battlecasts, unfortunately, but still has a pretty solid comp here nonetheless.
He just passed by an Urgot. He doesn't even care at this point. Yeah. It's probably smart.
Yeah, he's
Going back to it's not super necessary.
Alright, let's see how this ends up pairing off. It's cool to be able to check in with SLOOPER after he's got some time to work on this.
That was a really good Shroud from Panda. Missed the Victor but got the Janna. And Janna with no items, ult so late. Still not enough.
Oh man. This is just... There's so many units alive left from SLOOPER here.
Yeah, there's just so many putting in work. I mean, it's what we talked about when it comes to Big Bang, right? There's just so much on the board that's putting in the work when we're watching these fights. It's really just interesting to see each of them have this impact, and in this case, a lot of them standing on the table, so he's just heavy hitting everybody when he eliminates them. Panda being knocked out. Final 3, ALPHAGO, JUANZI, and SLOOPER, and still pretty tight. ALPHAGO's streak was actually finished off, was previously streaking pretty hard.
And the Chinese players once again in 1 and 2, really showing dominance in their region.
You'll love to see it. One of the predicted regions to make the biggest splash here today, and we get to see 2 of them in the same lobby, and they're not disappointing the fans out there and bringing that hype and that consistency that you love to see. And even more mech action.
Yeah, so back at the Starside Invitational, which was NA versus China, the NA players had a really big item difference from the Chinese players. So if you remember, the Chinese players did the dodge mech and any players had the Bramble QSS mech. And now both regions have exactly the same perfect items on mech. You see the Titan's Resolve, the Hodge, and the QSS. I think the revamps on those items just made it synergize so well with the mech.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why
works, yeah.
Yeah, that's why we've seen the shift to this build on the forefront here. It's worked out for JUANZI, you know, taking game number 1. Not that specific build, that is, but it's looking good for him to take now game number 3 as well.
Final 2.
Oh, it's interesting that he never moved that Thresh. He really just wants it to hit the mech, like just is praying it ults. Maybe he knows it's gonna ult, because it did ult. It brought in the Urgot, right?
Believe so, yeah, it did.
So,
because he knows
Yeah,
that Zephyr's not
really.
gonna get it. Yeah, he knows that Zephyr's not gonna grab the mech because it has QSS. So he's just sacrificing the Zephyr to make sure this Thresh goes off there. But interesting.
Yeah. I mean, definitely with Thresh being tier 2'd now, it has a way higher chance to go off. So that is the point where I would say it's you know, it's more fine for it to be there, even if you're wasting you know, Zephyring a unit, which is strong enough in and of itself. So kind of a risk, or kind of a sacrifice there, rather.
Yeah, I mean, it also has a trap clause, so I guess it's much more likely to go off. But it feels like, is there really no better spot? Oh, he moved it.
Okay,
Yeah, I feel like that spot would also grab the mech and would be safer. But it worked for him last round.
Dying.
Oh, he pulled it in. Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Wow, yeah, that's going to be it. JUANZI winning
GG.
another one.
JUANZI's just too good.
Man.
that was such a performance. So JUANZI took first in all 3 games so far.
Yeah.
All 3 games. He hasn't lost a single one. And that means that he's currently at 24 points. And to give some context, the 4 that were able to move on to tomorrow's rounds from our first lobby today, the final 3 and 4 spots had 25 points each to be able to make it over the line to tomorrow. JUANZI, after 3 games, has 24 points already. So he's only 1 point away from the max for some of those that came from the first lobby. But first, want to hear from you, Crowan, just on what do you think it is that is allowing him to really perform so exceptionally consistently here?
You know, I'm not sure offhand, to be completely honest. It does seem like he has a very, very good understanding of not only the game and the pacing of it, but the meta, knowing, you know, how to transition well at what points, what to go with. You know, mech 2 games. 1 game was a space pirate, which he had a good start for. So it's kind of just like adapting to whatever scenarios he's presented with. And China, just as a whole, seems to be a very strong region. We've had, you know, games 1 and 3 where both Chinese players in this lobby were the top 2 at the end here. So just maybe China's the strongest region based off of, you know, what we've seen so far. It's a little early to, you know, make that claim, of course, but very interesting to note.
Yeah, and on that, Becca, what are your thoughts on China showing up here as a region today? Were you expecting them to be one of the strongest ones?
I was expecting them to be strong because they do have the largest player base, but I didn't expect JUANZI to win 3 in a row. I can't even do that in solo queue, you know? So, I mean, he's just dominating. It's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, it's such a hard feat and a lot for us to wrap our brains around because we did get to see Big Bang. I know there's somebody that's really excited about it. The wittiest rock I know. Let's go ahead and get that breakdown from Whitrock.
Some exciting games, obviously a dominant performance from JUANZI, but I want to start with a clip from the first game from Lobby 2. This is MISMATCHEDSOCKS, fairly late into the game, but getting his first pick, his choice on Carousel, and he makes one of the clearer decisions. He goes straight for the Force of Nature. But if you remember this game, this is the highly contested Star Guardian lobby, and MISMATCHEDSOCKS' composition would benefit significantly from that Star Guardian spatula that he just passed up on. It actually goes all the way till the end of this carousel here, and ALPHAGO ends up picking it up. The important thing to talk about here is how important Star Guardian spatula can be. it is something that it matters a lot which unit it is on, right? Having it on your Victor or on some other important auto attacker, if you want to route that true damage via Janna, can be very powerful. And so, although this ends up being a decent power spike for MISMATCHEDSOCKS, you see him level up all the way to 9 and get to play 11 units in this combat. The units that he actually gets to play are a bit awkward. Now, he doesn't actually have 6 Star Guardian. He's stuck on 5. He gets to play this Urgot immediately, but it's an Urgot 1 with no items, which isn't as important. And if you recall the rest of this game, this Star Guardian Spatula ends up being very powerful for ALPHAGO. You see here it's still on the Lucian, but later on he ends up transitioning that to the Vayne that you see with the double Giant Slayer, and gives ALPHAGO a lot of power later on in this game. So it's hard to say whether that pick on the carousel was correct. You know, normally you're going to go for that Force of Nature, but I think there was some serious thought to be given to whether or not that Star Guardian Spatula was a better option. Now let's talk about JUANZI in Game 2 with that Space Pirate. This is just excellence in execution. He's rolling down on 4-3, trying to figure out what he's going to do, sees that Gangplank. And I think most players would buy this Gangplank, put it in, and put in 4 Space Pirates and see an immediate power spike, but JUANZI is ruthless. Sells off basically every single unit he has, and the key here is that he wants to get items onto his Space Pirates, because at this point, he has enough health, 76, where he doesn't care about winning rounds. What he cares about is farming those items and having his best shot at getting first place. And so what you'll see is by selling his entire board and doing such a meaningful transition, he's now very weak and is going to be weak for basically the rest of Stage 4 and a lot of Stage 5 as well. But he makes up for that weakness with that Space Pirate 4 bonus, that 33% chance to get items. And so now you'll see kind of a series of clips where he's just going to be getting those items. If you watch that bottom left-hand corner, there's a Negatron cloak. There's the spatula that gets him that Force of Nature. There's another Negatron cloak. Just letting himself kind of sit on that loss streak or not push too hard for wins, farm item after item, and then he just has one of the strongest comps you could possibly have in a normal Galaxy, and he knows it. Stands up, gets his drink of water, and knows that there's no way he can lose this game, securing his second first. And we have to continue to talk about JUANZI's performance, because 3 firsts in a row is very difficult in TFT. And so the final note I want to make about JUANZI in this third game is that he's also very strong in his positioning game. We see his final fight here against ALPHAGO. He understands that at this point it's all about positioning. And we're in Big Bang, where he's playing 10 units. His opponent, ALPHAGO, is playing 11 units. There's Zephyrs and Trap Claws and Shroud of Stillness. There's a lot to be positioning around. He needs to have his Gangplank lockets be used well. His Gangplank has an Infiltrator spatula, so he has different positioning requirements. And so you see he just gets decent positioning here. He gets his Echo Zephyr, which isn't great, but his composition is strong enough to withstand something like that. And you see a strong final fight from him, which secures that third first place. So just a really strong performance, and the rest of the lobby is going to have to fight back.
Whitrock, I didn't notice at the end, but it looked like he was getting up to take off after that third win, and someone came back and they're like, no, you're beating them too hard. Just sit down, be humble. No, but the first thing I have to ask you is, I mean, listen, with TFT, you have so many people coming in going like, oh, TFT is an RNG game. But after our third first place in a row, what do you have to say to them when you talk about JUANZI?
I mean, you just have to watch, especially that Space Pirate game, which people consider, even of the kind of RNG TFT builds, to be one of the more RNG builds. That was not RNG. That was excellent in execution, and we have a top-tier player in this lobby.
And something that I thought was pretty interesting when we were listening to our casters cast that last game, almost none of them had even experienced Big Bang as a Galaxy. So do you think that that throws the pro players off as much, even though I know they've played like hundreds upon thousands of games of TFT?
Yeah, I'd be interested how much they've practiced the Big Bang Galaxy specifically, because even if you have tons of experience with the Galaxy set, the galaxies themselves can make a big difference. It changes how power curves of different compositions work. Even what compositions are available shifts significantly. How many games are you playing 11 units without playing Space Pirates? So seeing both adaptation in the game and seeing these players that have practiced the Galaxy execute with efficiency is very impressive.
Well, Whitrock, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and see our Game 3 winner once again. JUANZI, 3 first places in a row. Is that even allowed? I'm sure we have more in the chat. He'll look into it. No, but seriously, well done by him. Well played. Just making sure that we, again, have the top TFT tacticians taking place in the TFT Galaxies Championship. Every single one of them definitely earned their right. And let's go ahead and take a look at the standings for Lobby 2. No surprise, JUANZI, 24 points after 3 first-place wins. We have SLOOPER following in second with 15 points, actually tied with ALPHAGO. 15 points as well. And then CUPIDITAS following right behind at 14. ADASTRA, unfortunately, at 6 points. And MISMATCHEDSOCKS, if you want to be Faker, I don't know if you can sit kind of in the middle of the standings. But hey, they still have 2 more games to play. Only 3 have been played so far. With those 2, who knows? They could definitely come back and potentially move on as the final 4 for day 2. But we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get to those 2 games and find out who the final 4 that will be moving on will be.